Live from Chatterbox Sports Studios, it's Off the Bench with Tom Brenneman.
Well, good morning, everybody. It is Friday, June 30th, 2023. I'm Paul Fritschner, and for the final time this week, this is Off the Bench with Tom Brenneman, without Tom Brenneman. Tom will be back next week, so we are filling in one final time here in the month of June. This is the final show of the month of June, and as I was saying the other day, for the 7th straight month, this show has grown, so we want to thank each and every one of you as we get this show started for keeping this thing going. It's been fantastic. We're just getting started on this ride, so it's been a great one with you, and let's get going here today. This is Off the Bench. It's live here on YouTube, and it comes your way every Monday through Friday, 10
Eastern Standard
to 12
P.
That's
Eastern
right,
Standard.
Jacob. It's right here on YouTube. You can subscribe. You can like the video. You can also find this video and this show, really just the audio of this show, in podcast form. You can go to Apple. You can go to Spotify. You can go to Stitcher. You can go to really any podcast platform. This show is available there. Download it. Subscribe. Leave a rating and a review, too. You can do that to Chatterbox Reds. A lot of people have been leaving ratings and reviews for these shows. It helps whatever the algorithm is. Algo boys. Big algo boys over here. We love the algorithms. Thanks for watching this show. Let's get things going. We have Rick Broering today. That'll be at 10:30. The Reds take on the Padres tonight. That's at 5:10. 3 games against the Padres, then 4 games against the Nationals, then 3 against the Brewers, and it's off into the All-Star break. We're going to talk about the Padres series, talk about a little more going on around Cincinnati this weekend. Chat Power Rankings coming up at the end of the show, and that's Reed on the Chat Power Rankings today. So if you have anybody you got to butter up, it's Mr. Reed Mouse over there. The cycle has come back to the mousetrap. It is Jacob, Elliot, Casey, Reed. Everybody is in studio today. Jacob, how are you today?
I'm doing all right, Paul.
I felt like you were a little quiet yesterday.
I was, but I'm feeling good, ready to go today.
Elliot?
I couldn't be better, Paul. I came in here, and it's a beautiful morning in Hamilton. Hamilton's I've said it all my life, really. Hamilton's the number one place in America, the number one place, and I get to come here for work every day, and I love it.
You ever see a fish in, you ever feel like a fish in water and there's just a night crawler hanging right in front of you? That's Elliot fishing right now. He ain't going to get anything out of me. I ain't falling for the bait. No
Elliot, how's your back doing?
I'm okay.
Seems like it's been getting better.
It's not really, though. I'm trying to fight through the pain, but I'm not very strong. I don't handle adversity very well, if I'm going to be completely honest. It's certainly gotten better since whatever day I was sprawled out over here. But I think just a couple more days I'll be healed. Reed has been my emotional guide, my support over there. He's been walking me through the pain, and I'm gonna get through this, Paul. I'm gonna get through this.
Good.
So Elliot, just so you know, and this is a shout out. My group chat keeps getting brought up in this on this show. Earlier today, you were brought up in the group chat, and I think it's because you're anti-Hamilton shtick. This is what was said. I wake up every day, get my coffee, read my paper, and just ponder what kind of bullshit Elliot is going to spew on Off the Bench today. So not many fans in this group chat right now, Elliot.
Nobody likes me? That sucks. Guess I'll have to move on from the Hamilton haters, but that's okay. I still have you guys number 1 in my heart, number 1 in my all-time city ranks. We can get that next week, my all-time city ranks across America.
Where would you put Toledo on that list right now off the cuff? Hamilton, then Toledo.
Yeah, 3,702.
Okay. Very specific list.
Right in the middle of the pack.
Right above Gary, Indiana, but not very far ahead.
Casey, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good.
Did you get tickets to FC Cincinnati? So FC Cincinnati and Inter Miami tickets went on sale 5 minutes ago, and for those of you who might not know, that's Messi's new squad. Alex was in the queue for tickets. Did you get tickets?
I'm still waiting on an answer. She's supposed to tell me, 1, how much they are, and then if she was able to buy any. So
This sounds like me going through the Taylor Swift ordeal back in November, which, by the way, that's tonight.
Big time.
And
Big time, Paul.
It's a good thing we're going tonight because I was looking at the weather for tomorrow night.
Not good.
Not good.
Not good.
Not good. Okay, so I I am game planning on getting down there somewhere in the like 4:45 range. Is that too late? Well, so here's the thing. And we don't need to totally derail the show with non-sports talk because I think Ronnie Smith might just go off the rails if we do that. But I do need to throw this out there to people because I think as a group in the chat, in this room, we can all kind of workshop this. I feel like I have been downtown enough to Reds games, to Bengals games, to concerts, to big events. I feel very comfortable handling myself in a city. I'm not somebody that's afraid of driving in a city. I'm from DC. You know how to do these things. So I'm not afraid of that. I am afraid of getting down there and then figuring out that I'm going to have to park at the casino and walk 2 miles.
I wouldn't get down there any later.
No.
Right around 5, a little before 5.
But you're also fighting Reds traffic at the same time, which is tough.
Yeah, that's brutal.
Is there going to be a big crowd at this Reds game? Because I don't know.
I think the crowd outside of Great American and the Banks area is going to be bigger than the crowd at the game. It's going to be people down there before the Taylor Swift concert, watching the game on the TV, stuff like that.
How many people like Reed that were, kind of casually interested in going to the game, seeing the Padres, seeing the Reds, nice fun Friday night, and no, Taylor Swift's down there, I don't want to go.
Well, last time they moved the game up to 5 o'clock, it didn't hurt attendance because it was the Zach Brown concert. Tonight, moving the game up to 5 o'clock, I think that's going to kill attendance. People are going to have to leave work early or go straight from work. I don't think there's going to be a great number at the game tonight.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going Saturday. To the Reds game. I think that's a 1:40 maybe.
Yeah.
That hopefully is going to be better, but it's again right after the game. The traffic's going to be brutal.
Horrible.
I think downtown Cincinnati tonight and tomorrow, it'll be the most crowded downtown has been in a long, long time. I mean, I'm talking parades, World Series parades. I don't remember when was the last time downtown will be this crowded.
Opening days.
This will be more crowded than opening day.
So?
Yeah,
it'll be way more
because
crowded.
picture opening day happening at the same time as a Bengals game.
Yeah, no, it'll be way more crowded than opening days. Way more.
Yeah.
I was just saying that's the
Yeah.
next closest big event.
Parking's going to be disgusting.
Well, that's
You're
what
gonna
I'm
have
worried
to park
about.
and walk.
Parking.
I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid of walking. I'm not afraid of walking to
Yeah.
get there because I have parked at the casino for a Bengals game before. I know the walk. It's fine, but I also don't want to make everybody else walk because we're not just driving ourselves. We're driving, kind of carpooling down there.
I have a friend who parked downtown yesterday. So she parked the car downtown yesterday. She Ubered home and will Uber back for the concert tonight. And that way she'll have her car already parked.
Now that's
an elite
extreme.
move.
That's extreme.
I think it is extreme, but it's smart.
It's an elite move, though. I think that's a big brain move.
That is a very big brain move. Reed, you have decided against going down to the game tonight. Are you going tomorrow?
No, I don't think I'm going to go this weekend. Maybe Sunday. But, yeah, I was going to go down. Yu Darvish is pitching. I liked seeing all the Padres. I mean, Juan Soto is probably a future Hall of Famer. Fernando Tatis might get in the Hall of Fame someday. Manny Machado is a Hall of Famer. So a bunch of Hall of Famers on the field. As with whatever the Reds players are going to turn out to be, there might be some Hall of Famers there as well. So I'm just a fan of baseball, but I'm not going to go because it's going to be too crowded. I'm just a modest boy from Hamiltucky. So
cheapest tickets for Inter Miami were $220, and they were snatched up very quickly. So we're not getting tickets. But I was going to say, tonight might be the most packed it's been in a long time, but the only weekend that could rival it this year, September 22nd through the 25th, which is extending into Monday Night Football. But it's Pirates at Reds, Friday through Sunday, Charlotte at FC, Oklahoma at UC, Rams at Bengals.
What a week. Weekend.
That whole 10-day stretch. There's a 10-day stretch in September. There's a 10-day stretch where I think UC is home 2 weekends in a row. Oktoberfest is happening in Cincinnati. The Bengals are home for Monday Night Football. The Reds have at least 2 home series. It's that week. It's that stretch. It's the stretch of Oktoberfest, which is the weekend before that weekend, leading into that weekend. That might be one of the greatest 14-day stretches this city has seen in a long time. Because at that point, there's a chance that the Reds are still in this thing and that they are going for a division title at that point, which is banana lands to say. I can't believe we're sitting here on June 30th saying this, but right now the Reds are 81 games into the season, and we're having ourselves a conversation on whether September 23rd, 24th, 25th, the Reds are going to be competing for a division in front of a city that is going to be out of its mind those 10 days. Because that's, I believe, the first game of, I think the 23rd is the first Big 12 game for UC. I think that's Oklahoma.
It is Oklahoma.
I think that's Oklahoma.
It is Oklahoma.
I think that's the Big 12 opener for UC. So all of that happening in a 10-day stretch is just gonna light the city on fire.
It is.
Elliot, we haven't talked a ton about UC. You and I were talking about it yesterday at lunch.
Yeah.
Do you have just any overall thoughts on UC joining the Big 12?
It's going to be bad. It's at first. It's going to be bad at first. I am obviously, like, the recruiting is going to go way up. The dollars are going to go way up. It's nothing but good things can happen from joining the Big 12. But I think fans are still, like, kind of riding a high of, making the playoff and college basketball. Everybody loves UC college basketball, as do I. Like, oh, yeah, it's going to be fun playing Kansas. But no, it's not, though, right? I mean, they're going to win by 47 points. 47 points. I think it's going to be a slaughter. There's going to be an adjustment period at first. A new head coach in football. I think the first year for every new head coach for UC football, the past 3 head coaches have gone under 4 wins, 4 or less wins. If I read that stat correctly, which means joining the Big 12 is certainly not going to improve that number.
4.5 is the win total. We
Yeah.
heard Charlie Walter the other day on our show. Charlie Walters, who is going to be the UC, I guess the way to say it, the UC guy for Chatterbox Sports. He's going to be hosting the post-game shows and everything else for UC, basically like what you see with Chatterbox Reds. That's going to be Charlie Walter and one of his friends. You can follow Charlie on Twitter. Just go search his name, Charlie Walters. Not hard to find. We pitched him the other day at over 4.5 wins. He said take the over. You are not taking the over.
I'm taking the under. I'm not a Scott Satterfield guy. I think there's some guys that wear a visor and I just get turned off. Scott Satterfield's one of them. Louisville fans begged him to get out of the school. So I don't know. I think we're in for a rude awakening as a UC fan in both sports.
One thing that was a very hot topic in this studio for a long time, and Chatterbox OGs will very much remember all the discussion that we had when UC was looking for their new coach, when Luke Fickell took his talents up there to Madison. But this was very much before you guys, so I want to get both of your thoughts. Elliot, did you want Dion?
Did I want who?
Dion.
Oh, yeah, I absolutely wanted Dion. Absolutely, I wanted Dion. I think Dion would have made UC like what's happening with the Bengals, what's happening to the Reds. It would just be an electric factory. I think Dion's also very good at his job. You would have seen, like you're seeing with Colorado, a ton of very good talent all going to Colorado. So you would have seen it all come to UC. Yeah, Dion would have made this school amazing. Yep.
Jacob, are you a Dion guy?
So, number one, I don't think Dion's a very good football coach.
Okay.
So that's the big pushback there. And I think UC fans were more or less delusional the whole time that he would even think about coming here.
Would you rather have Dion or Scott Satterfield?
Well, that's not what I'm saying. Scott Satterfield's also a bad football coach.
Okay.
All right. I think UC fans were delusional to think they had a chance of getting Dion. I think that was one of the least appealing jobs of the offseason this year. You're moving to a new conference. You don't have the talent to compete in the Big 12, like Elliot just said. It's going to take years to get there. Dion's going to a school like Colorado where you can get transfer recruits. No transfers coming to – I mean, granted, Dion changes. You come play for Dion.
Yeah.
But Boulder, Colorado is a little nicer than Cincinnati, Ohio, with all love and respect to my city.
How much did Nick Saban pay you to do that little monologue?
No, I just don't think Dion's coached HBCU football. You're playing less than group of 5 talent. You're going to go to a Power 5 school. I mean, we'll see how it works.
I feel like he's been pretty successful, though. Like, how do you knock a coach for being successful at a lower level?
No, I'm not necessarily. But to jump from that level of competition to Power 5 football is a massive jump. And I don't think he's going to be successful.
But what has been the disconnect for you to be like, okay, he's not a good football coach with immense success at that level?
Because he had the talent disparity between him and the other teams who were playing at Jackson State was insane. He was getting 5-star recruits. There was a handful of 3-stars on the other combined rosters. That's the big difference.
So, Elliot, you don't think it's all just one big show? You don't think that the Dion show is just Coach Prime and it's going to flame out at Colorado?
That's my issue.
I do think there is that aspect to it, and I think you saw – what was the video that went viral where he was, like, cutting players? Like, you guys are just not good enough. Remember that one? There is the aspect –
Deion's coming.
Yeah, Deion's –
He's coming.
He told all the players, and those poor guys, they were sitting in that – looks like a classroom. He's like, yeah, when I get here, you guys are all cut. And it's like, that's brutal. And he brings, the cameras and everything.
Well, he lost a lot of transfers that weren't producing. I mean, Colorado won one game last year. You get those guys out. He also lost their leading receiver, their leading rusher, and their best corner. Like, people are not wanting to play for Deion at the level that people think, in my opinion.
I just think for the first year of the Big 12, I think Deion would have helped UC immensely.
Casey, what are your thoughts on Deion Sanders? We haven't shared those in a while.
Yeah, I was in the camp that I wanted him. And it wasn't necessarily for his coaching skill. I just thought that the talent that he could bring to UC year one would be at least able to compete with the Big 12. I thought that his draw, his appeal to a lot of these recruits would have been the factor. I'm not sure if he's. I couldn't make a judgment call whether or not he's a good coach or not because of what Jacob described. I mean, he's got He had, I think, the top corner, right?
The top. He played both sides of the ball. He was the top receiver as well.
Yeah, top receiver and top corner. He was a 5-star recruit playing for him, and I mean, the dude could have been playing at Ohio State or Alabama. Like the dude had amazing talent at Jackson State, and it's just hard to judge. Sorry, it's hard to judge what he was doing there as compared to a Power 5 school. So it's just tough to decide whether or not he would be a good coach or not. But I thought, bring the talent, and we'll figure out the coaching later. Maybe he ends up figuring it out, but those were my thoughts.
Scott Satterfield doesn't necessarily feel like he moves the needle. I don't know anything about him as a head coach. I didn't follow his teams at Louisville. But it just doesn't feel like, from what I've read and from what I've seen and from the Louisville fans that basically ran him out of town.
That's never good. When you hire a coach and his old fan base is ecstatic that he's gone, that's never good.
Yeah.
I mean, they did kind of run him out of town. And now he ends up at UC where, John Cunningham has very clearly made decisions coaching-wise where now in all three major sports at UC, he has made the hire. When you look at basketball, where he replaced John Brandon now with Wes Miller, Scott Satterfield, and then the new baseball coach that came down from Central Michigan. All three coaches are now Cunningham hires. This is a pretty crucial time for UC football because you're going into a new conference. You're hiring somebody that a lot of fans are rightfully skeptical about. And now you got to decide, what are we doing here? 4.5 wins. Does 5 wins cut it a season and a half after going to the college football playoff? Playoff's not going to expand for another, 2 years?
This season.
Yeah, next 2 years,
Correct.
yeah. So this year you're getting by, but then Texas and Oklahoma leave the Big 12. So what does the Big 12 even look like football-wise? It'll be a shell of itself.
When do you think the super conferences come into play?
The year after the playoffs.
You know what's going to happen?
Year after the playoffs?
In my opinion, yeah. We're going to get to 3 conferences with 15 teams, and then there's going to be a D2.
It'll be SEC, Big 10, Big 12?
It'll be a combo of the Pac-12 and the Big 12.
Okay.
What I think is going to happen. It'll be called the Big 12 from everything I've seen, and they'll drag in the Washington, Oregon, all the teams that didn't join the Big 10. And you have essentially 3 conferences, 15 teams, 45 teams fighting for 12 playoff spots.
Jacob, I've had this thought for a while in college football because the hardest thing, I've never been able to get into college football. I never grew up around a big fan of a college football team, so I just never really got into it. And one of the hardest things for me to get into is the fact that there's so few of games that I know that matter. Like, as an Alabama fan, there's only 2 games a season that you're really like, all right, they might lose this game. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, the other 10, they're going to win by 2 touchdowns at least, if not more. So in an effort to try and create as many competitive games as possible, I've thought that college football should kind of take a European football
relegation.
Yeah, so you get the 20 greatest college football programs, you put them in the top 20, whatever you want to call it, the top tier,
right?
And They compete. They play 10 games against each other and then have a little bit of a playoff. The next 20 teams do the exact same thing, and you go down the line. And the bottom 5 teams of that division get kicked out, go down one division. The top 5 teams of the second tier go up to the top tier, and you just keep doing that every single year. And like you'd have UC in the top tier playing 10 games, probably doing really bad a couple years ago, and then get kicked down. And I feel like that'd be a lot of fun if you're a fan of a top tier team, and all of a sudden Notre Dame in the 1990s winning national championships in the 80s, then they go 4-8, kicked out. See you later, Notre Dame, and then you don't see them around for a while.
We kind of have pseudo relegation anyway. Like UC kills it in the American, makes the playoff, they get the opportunity to join the Big 12. Like, it's not a year by year basis, but it's still you dominate the group of 5 conferences, you get a chance to move up to the Power 5, and then have a legitimate shot to play for the playoff.
I guess I just don't need to see Ohio State play Rutgers ever again.
That's
or
true.
Maryland, or
those are conference teams. So you got to play the conference.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, in 2020 during COVID, schedules went in the toilet right off the rip, and the SEC played a 10-game conference schedule, and it was awesome. I mean, every week was you were getting up for the game every week. You were excited to watch it. I don't know why you can't play. We're arguing over an 8-game or a 9-game conference schedule in the SEC. Why can't you play 10? You don't need 3 cupcakes. Take a bye week and 2 cupcakes. Play a 13-game season.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, and CJ asked who I root for without, and we were talking about football the other day, where I feel like my connection to football, like I didn't grow up playing football, I didn't go to a college that had football, so I have a very loose connection with just the sport in general. I watch Notre Dame, I watch pretty much every Notre Dame game, but I'm not gonna sit here and feel like my world is crushed if Notre Dame loses on a Saturday. It's just kind of one of those things where I watch college football every Saturday because there is at least one great game every week, it feels like. As Reed always points out, it might take 100 bad games to get to that one good game on a Saturday, like Alabama and Tennessee last year. But it'll still at least produce something for you. Now, I think we're going to get to a point here in 10, 15 years where we say it might just be one big free-for-all. It might just be one, we play all these conferences. Jacob, you mentioned the super conferences, 3 15-team conferences, whatever it might be, Big 10, Big 12, SEC. But then it's just going to become everybody's an independent. Well, why don't you just play teams that are close to you, that match up with you?
Yep.
Why don't you play teams around you geographically?
Back to conference.
Oh, wait. We already did that. That's conferences. And then you just start the whole cycle over again. I do think you get tired of playing, the Alabama and Vanderbilt game. That doesn't need to happen. I know it doesn't happen every year because they're in 2 different divisions, but Ohio State doesn't need to consistently play Rutgers. Alabama doesn't need to ever play Vanderbilt.
I mean, I guess the issue with that then is there are other sports. So, Vanderbilt wins the SEC in baseball almost every year.
Yeah.
So, you have to bite the bullet on worse football games for other sports. I don't know. Conferences are an issue. Conferences are an issue. There's too many conferences, in my opinion.
We've seen this with Notre Dame. They've already, their football team isn't in a conference while the rest of their sports are.
Cowards.
I'm just saying, why does the football team need to be in a conference? It makes enough money to where I guess the conferences are going to try and hold on to these football teams as long as they can. But I just don't need to see, as Paul put it, as I put it, Alabama versus Vanderbilt ever again.
See,
I'm tired of college football every time that the Tennessee-Alabama game happens. All these huge college football fans go, this is why it's the greatest sport ever.
Damn right.
There is one time a year where it's a perfect storm of, the Tennessee-Alabama game, a team that hasn't won in 20 years, playing at home against the number 1 team in the country, and they win, and all the pomp and circumstance of college football comes into fruition, and it's a beautiful thing. It truly is absolutely beautiful. But you can't, after the game's over, this is why it's the best, when it happens once a year across the entire sport.
Now, I am a college football is the best sport in the world guy. My pushback to that, I guess, would be the Bengals started 0-2 last year and went to the AFC Championship. If you lose 2 games in college football, your season is over. That's why I love it. If you lose 1 game You're
But
sitting on
there's
the edge of
only-
your seat the whole time.
But there's only 2 games that they can lose. Like there's only Alabama plays 2 games all year that they can lose.
You can lose every game. App State beat Michigan, like
Yeah,
biggest upset of all
17
time.
years ago. You're pulling something
Right.
that happened 17
Like,
years ago.
Upsets happen.
Very rarely.
Very rarely, true.
Right,
Like,
that's what I'm saying.
I'd rather watch Miami, Ohio versus Toledo than Texans, Jaguars. I guess not Jaguars anymore, but
People
like
saying that
MAC football, Sun Belt football is the best on a Tuesday, Wednesday night.
because every game can happen. Because every game they can beat. There's not
Right.
Alabama versus it. People are like upsets happen. That's what's great about college football. Is the same argument as before the DH happened. Be like, wait, we're never going to see a pitcher hit a home run again. It's like, yeah, it happens. Yeah, it's awesome when it does happen, but it's also terrible for the sport that this guy strikes out 90 of 100 times. Doesn't put the ball in play. Sometimes doesn't even try to. Just walks up there and takes 3 pitches. I want to see the best teams play each other 10 times. I want to see Alabama play Ohio State every single year. I want it to be that super conference. I want it to be devolve everything else. The relegation thing that I say, I want 10 competitive games for Alabama. I want 10 competitive games for Ohio State. I want 10 competitive games for Clemson. Whatever team you want to say. I want to see it every single Saturday.
Yeah, like what's the problem with Alabama going 8-4 and still being number 1 and getting into playoff?
Right, and you got
Like, I think
12
that would be
I
great.
hate that.
Why?
Win your conference. Play the good teams in the playoff. It's a 12-team playoff in 2 years. Play the good teams in the playoff. You got to earn the right to get there.
You're still earning the right
Yeah.
to get there. You're just playing 12 competitive games.
I
Like
would
that-
rather
that-
see the Alabama Ohio State for the first time in the national championship than for the second or third time that year. I mean, that's part of the pushback I have with the MLB schedule revamp too. Part of the fun of the World Series was you had no idea who was better, the AL or the NL. Like, you're playing for the first time in the World Series. That was awesome. Play the division more often. That's awesome. Like, getting to see these big brands play each other is such a bigger deal because it doesn't happen as often. Like, Alabama, Ohio State is such a big deal because it happens once every 5 years, every 6 years.
So just so we're clarifying, I'm just preaching that I want more competitive games. And you're saying
Not
the sport is
necessarily.
better because there are fewer
I
competitive
want
games.
more conference games. I don't want Ohio State playing Alabama in the regular season. I don't. I don't think that's good. It makes the playoff less exciting
How though?
because
Why?
you're not seeing them for the first time. You'd see the teams that play in the playoff. Because
Was the Baltimore Ravens Bengals game still exciting? They
I
played
don't want
3
college
times.
football to be the NFL. I don't want college football to be the NFL. We're already getting there with the mega conferences. You're going to end up with the AFC and the NFC. Like, that's horrible.
It's not horrible. It's more.
like-
It's
Two
Every
losses
time you
ruining your
sit-
season is the greatest thing about college football. 2 losses ruin your season. Alabama lost 2 games this year, and they had 0 chance at making the playoff. That is awesome. 12 games, you can't lose 2 of them? I mean, I love that. There's no other sport like that in the world.
Here's
there's only 2 games. I'm just tired of worried about only caring about 3 games all year long.
Yeah, I think the
just tired.
non-conference games need to be buffed. You know, they can't be playing the Citadel or Toledo. Like I think that what should happen is those non-conference games, they need to play the ACC, Big 12, and Big 10. Those are your 3. You got to choose one team out of those conferences. You can't play some out in the middle of nowhere D2 school anymore. That should not happen anymore.
Elliot, your thoughts?
Yeah, I actually agree with Jacob for the part that I think it would be way more fun to see Alabama, Ohio State for the first time in the national championship game. I actually agree with him on that one.
They can still play.
My issue with college football, and Casey just alluded to it there, that we have half the teams in college football where every game they play their entire season doesn't matter. Toledo's season doesn't matter, and it'll never matter, ever.
Well, it matters. They have different
gotta get
different
to the bowl-
goals.
get
They
to
have
a
different
bowl game.
goals.
Bowl
You're not
games don't
playing
bowl
for a
games don't
national
bowl games don't matter.
championship.
No,
Bowl
they're
games don't matter.
playing to win their conference. They
Right.
understand that they're never going to play national championship.
Yeah, but that's dumb.
As a team,
that's
they
dumb.
understand.
That whole idea is dumb.
And that's just a
College
misunderstanding of college football.
basketball, college baseball. The smallest school in America can go play for a national championship. They know when they start their season, if they do their job. I know some schools, obviously, you have to go undefeated. But if you go undefeated, you're going to play or have the opportunity to play for a championship. College football is the only sport where that's just like, no, half the teams, you just don't matter. You just don't count.
My biggest problem with college football I draw back to, I think it was 2020, maybe 2021. When did Ohio State play Northwestern in the Big Ten championship? Was that 2020?
Yeah.
Ohio State won by 3 touchdowns. And Ohio State fans had a terrible time. They won their conference.
That game. It's miserable.
You're saying conferences matter. They won their conference by 3 touchdowns. And the fans had a terrible time. There's something wrong with the sport when that happens.
As an Ohio State fan, you're not playing to win your conference, though.
Then why have the conferences?
Fan, you are.
Then why have the conferences?
To get into the playoff.
Okay, well, I'm just saying you have the conferences to get into the playoff.
Right.
So you can play these big games.
Right.
Why not just play those big games already?
Because then that waters down the championship rounds.
No, it doesn't. You're still a championship will always be a championship.
I think it is better to have the first Alabama-Ohio State game in the championship as to week 3 or 4. I think playing those games in the regular season makes the playoff less exciting.
Do you think that Major League Baseball should go back to the old format of you got to win your pennant?
No. I thought you were going to say the old format of scheduling. No.
So
Major League Baseball, part of why I love college football so much is because it's different than every other sport.
It waters down the regular season then.
Right.
So why
the regular season's more important in college football than any other
correct.
sport.
So why not make it more important in baseball? Why are you
because
not
it's
arguing?
Part of why college football is great is because it's different. I mean, there's baseball, professional sports. Baseball, you're playing 162 games. You want more teams to compete for the playoffs.
To defend Jacob, if you look at Ohio State, Michigan, that's the best college football game on the slate of the season always. It's electric. If you play that game 3 times, that loses significant interest.
Correct.
If you play Ohio State, Michigan once, and then they play again in the championship game every time, then it just starts to lose value to me. That's to defend Jacob.
I don't want to go through a decade of games just to get this perfect storm of Ohio State versus Alabama once every decade. I don't want to do that anymore.
But I think
because we're going to see Clemson, Alabama every year.
That's the difference.
Because the top team.
Like the
I don't want to waste time.
the thought of Ohio State and Michigan playing in the national championship game, again, that would be like the first time ever, right?
Yeah.
That a rival like that would play each other in the championship and in the regular season. I think that would have been electric, just the idea of it. But if you have that every single season, then it starts to lose meaning, in my opinion.
Where it gets frustrating is Elliot's point that half the sport can't even compete.
Correct.
Well, that's why you win the American to move to the Big 12, so you have a chance to compete.
But
you don't have a chance to compete in the American.
But all MAC schools dead. All MAC
Correct.
schools just dead.
Correct.
But then move them down to D2 because what are we doing here?
I don't necessarily disagree with that.
Okay, well then if that's the case, then I would agree with that.
If you want a chance to compete for a national championship, move down.
Here's what I have never understood with teams that are, and this is why it's very frustrating to try to be a fan of a team that is not Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, Clemson, and then the one-off team, the random team. This year it was TCU. Some years it's Oregon. One year it might be Michigan. One year it might be Notre Dame. But whatever that fifth team is that shows up that competes for the 4th spot that we're even not going to be talking about here in the next 2 years because it's going to expand to 12. That if I'm a fan of one of those teams, I'm not a fan of a MAC team. I'm not a fan of a Sun Belt team. I'm not a fan of any of these group of 5 teams. But if I was, how do you inspire yourself every single Saturday to wake up and give any kind of care about that game when you know that it literally doesn't matter because your team can't win a championship?
You're saying it doesn't matter. Those teams aren't playing for a national championship. You're playing to win your conference and go to a bowl game.
But
that gives a ton of money to your school. It helps your program. It helps with recruiting.
Bowl games.
You're not playing for a national championship.
Bowl games suck. And if you're like, all right, guys, we're gonna win our season, and then we're gonna go play in the GoDaddy Bowl. Hard to get up. Hard to get up at 5 a.m. for 2-a-days.
These players celebrate winning the Boca Raton Bowl.
When the best thing you can do is the GoDaddy Boca Raton Potato Bowl.
Yes.
Hard to wake up. Hard to get the juices flowing.
Win a couple of those bowls and then get a chance to move up to the Power 5 and compete for the real stuff.
But you know that's not what happens. You know
because
that's not what happens.
Because teams can't do it consistently.
Okay. Well.
UC does it consistently, they get to the Big 12. BYU does it consistently, they get to the Big 12. Okay. Get to the Power 5 conferences, then you have a chance to compete.
Go Rockets.
Rick Broering, do you have any thoughts on any of this?
Tax Slayer Bowl.
What?
I believe that's a bowl game, right? The Tax Slayer Bowl.
Of course.
Yeah. What about you? Is that your favorite bowl?
I think so. I'd say it's top 3 for me.
What's the other 2?
I can't disclose that at this time, Paul.
Okay, that's fine. Rick,
To Elliot's point, bowl games suck. I mean, he's absolutely right. Bowl games suck.
Thank you, Rick.
They're meaningless.
Elliot, you want to talk to Rick?
Rick.
Elliot has been talking to me all week, just chomping at the bit, waiting for this interview. It's Friday at 10:30. Here you go, Elliot.
Rick, how are you doing, buddy?
I'm good. I'm a zebra guy. I
Thank
think
you.
the zebra zillionaires are I'm looking to make a lot of money this week. I feel success coming.
Thank you. By the way, I worked with Rick. I was producing games for NKU, the Horizon League champions. Rick, you promised me a Horizon League championship ring. Where is it?
I'm still waiting on those, Elliot. I believe they're in the mail.
Okay, all right. Then I guess we'll just I'll wait. I'll keep waiting, but as time goes by, I mean,
You don't see any rings on my hand.
It's okay. Not right now. I don't. But I think you're hiding them. You and Kelch are storing them somewhere. I don't know where, but you're hiding them.
Where do you think
I
Jim
might do
Kelch
that, but my
stores
good
one of
friend
those
Jim
rings?
Kelch would never.
Yeah.
I don't know where Kelch stores them, but I know Rick's got them.
Rick, first off, thanks for joining the show. We appreciate it. We have a lot of people here in the chat that are anxiously awaiting a little. Let's start a little bit with college basketball, because we haven't talked about that in a long time. Probably maybe since the last time you came on and kind of got an overview of what's going on around here. So for everybody that's maybe paying attention to what's going on right now, summer recruiting schedule is been ebbs and flows here lately. So between Xavier and UC. Can you just kind of give everybody an update of we'll start with Xavier and then go to UC, of where everybody's at and what's going on right now in the local landscape?
Oh, jeez. Where do you want me to start? Because we've only had about 3 months worth of transfer portal news.
Let's just get the very top. What people need to know.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me that I'm looking at right now is this is about to be one of the most interesting basketball seasons from a storyline standpoint in local memory. I mean, I'm covering Xavier, obviously. I think they're probably the least interesting local team this year. And that's a team that's replacing most of their roster, kind of doing a rebuild after running it back with a lot of the same guys last year. And they've got one of the best coaches in the sport who's entering his second year in Sean Miller. They've got a few high-level freshmen coming in as well. I'm really excited to see Trey Green, who was a top 65 point guard in the class and one of the best shooters in the country. So I think that's where you start with Xavier, and then it just gets more interesting from there. UC, I find fascinating this year. They've completely reshaped that roster. I think the big key for me with UC is, do the 2 big guys get their waivers to play immediately? Assis Bandago and Jameel Reynolds, the 2 big man transfers that they added, could be huge additions to what Wes Miller wants to do this season, especially as they move into the Big 12. But if those guys aren't eligible to play right away, then you're back in a spot where I think you're seeing a lot of Victor Locken playing the 5. Maybe Seamus Lukosius coming over from Butler is playing the 4 more. And I think you get into more of an undersized situation as you go into the Big 12. And that's probably not ideal for them. So I'm really looking at the waivers coming through on those 2 big men when we talk about UC. And then I always include Kentucky in the local teams because I think so many of the fans up here are UK fans, at least the people that I talk to and grew up around are. So Kentucky's probably the most interesting storyline out of all of them. You've got a lot of things converging this year with the John Calipari storylines of the fan base getting restless with him and feeling like he's past due to have more postseason success than he's had. You've got this incredible freshman class that he's brought in, probably the best he's had in his career at UK to this point. And yet they're trying to still put together a roster here at the last minute, just 2 weeks before they head to Canada. They added 2 new players just this past week. So I think this UK team is certainly going to be one to follow as we lead up to the season, but I'm really excited to get the college basketball season going.
I'm sick of hearing people saying that Calipari is going to be fired. He's not going to be fired. He's not. That's just not on the table. But I do think that there's going to come a point here where maybe he's not fired, but he's got to do something.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta use your Lexington translator, Paul. They don't understand concepts in big words, so they say "fire Cal," but really what they mean is eventually we'll just have to run him out of here because we hate him so much, which is a possibility despite his giant buyout. I do think this year, if he were to not make the NCAA tournament, I'm of the belief that he would end up resigning and walking away. I just don't think you'd be able to stay at Kentucky, and that would be a tenable situation if they failed to make the tournament again this year.
I mean, there's no way they miss the tournament with this roster, right?
I wouldn't think so. Definitely not. And that's why I'm saying. I mean, that's a worst-case scenario.
But does like an 8 or 9 seed playing a 1 seed and getting run out of town, does that cut it? Does that even qualify as making the tournament for that fan base?
I don't think so. And that's what I say. Not making the tournament is where you start talking about Cal needs to leave. And then I think there are a few more scenarios from there, like the one you just laid out, which is going to have the fan base pretty riled up. So now, that being said, he did just land a big 2024 commit already for next season, a top 50 center. We'll see if he stays in the 2024 class or if he joins them this year because they might need a little extra help in the front court. But yeah, I mean, it's always tough to fire Cal when he's got one of the top 2 or 3 recruiting classes in the country coming in the following season. But that could be the situation we find ourselves in after this year if things don't go well.
Rick hosts the Skinny Podcast with Richard Skinner of Local 12, and it's a great local podcast. I'd highly recommend anybody wants to go check it out. It's good for local sports and everything. Digestible. It's quick. It's less than an hour every week. Skinny's very entertaining. Not that you're not, Rick, but we have you
Skinny
on
is very entertaining.
But Skinny is very entertaining. But you guys have obviously been talking a lot lately about the Reds, and we haven't had you on since the Reds have been good. And I remember probably back in late April, right around when the Reds were 7-15, right around that mark, and you guys did an episode. I think they were 3 games under 500. They had lost a series, and you guys did a Skinny pod, and you asked Skinny the question, do the Reds ever get back to 500 this season? And both of you unequivocally, very quickly said, absolutely not. Like, this is not the season that they turn things around. This is not. And that's what I believe. Jacob, Elliott, Casey, Reed. I mean, I think anybody that had a brain at that point and looked at the Reds roster would tell you the Reds were not going to get back to 500. Could they get over their win total of 65.5? Probably. But to 82 wins, that's a lot. Now look at where we are. Halfway through the season, the Reds are tied for first place in the NL Central. Rick, your thoughts?
They got me. I was wrong. I mean, Paul, the way they approached this offseason and then coming into the year, do you remember that Jason Vossler was on this team?
I remember sitting doing the Chatterbox opening day show down at Moorline, and we were there, 3-4 hours before opening day. Nick Kirby was sitting to my left, and they released the opening day lineup. And I saw Vossler. I had never heard that name. I didn't know how to pronounce it. I didn't know if it was Vossler, Vosslier. I didn't know what it was. And he said, Jason Vossler, he's in the starting lineup on opening day. And I said, yeah, that's what I'm reading right here. And now here we are, tied for first place.
I was at Smoke Justice that day, and there was an audible buzz around the building going, who the hell is Vossler? I remember that distinctly. Who is this Vossler guy? So that was the big memory we had to look back to on opening day. And the talk was like, maybe Nick Lodolo and Hunter Green and Graham Ashcraft will start forming some semblance of a top of the rotation this year to give the fans something to look forward to as we head into a window that would seem like they'd be able to compete. And all of a sudden you start bringing up some of these young position players and they completely turn things around. So this has been incredibly fun to watch. But if you've been listening to the Skinny Podcast, I'm also of the belief that fans need to pump the brakes a little bit. Just enjoy what's happening right now. Enjoy the fact that they're ahead of schedule and quit worrying so much about giving the entire farm system away just to improve to make the playoffs this season.
So what do you think they do? I mean, that's been the topic of conversation here for the last 2 or 3 weeks where we're trying to, figure out, okay, you're going to get into a situation now in June or in July where you play the Brewers 6 times. And after that 6-game stretch against the Brewers, they don't play the Brewers 3 more times the rest of the season. That's it. After that 6 games bookending the All-Star break. So you don't have a ton of time to make up ground with the team that you're potentially competing with to win the division. Maybe the Cardinals make a run at some point. They look kind of dead. Maybe the Cubs hang around. Who knows how they play throughout the home stretch of the season. But if it's the Reds and the Brewers, you only have 9 games left against them, and 6 of those are back-to-back-to-back-to-back-to-back-to-back-to-back. So what do you think this team can or should do going here into July and the trade deadline?
Well, they should be trying to improve the pitching staff like everyone wants them to. But the reality of being able to improve the pitching staff and improve it to the point that you would not only make the playoffs, but be capable of making a run in the playoffs is, just not all that realistic to me this season with what you have to work with, unless you're going to be giving up guys like CES and Noel V. Marte. And if you give up those two guys, that might return you a top of the rotation type guy. But that's one. This pitching staff right now, Paul, has 4 healthy pitchers. And as Richard Skinner said so eloquently yesterday on our podcast, 3 of them suck. So that's the issue that they're faced with right now. One top of the rotation pitcher is great, but you're willing to give up some of your top prospects for one pitcher that might not be enough to get you over the hump that you need this year. I'm not willing to do that. I want a 2, 3, 4-year window with this group of core young guys. And if that means standing pat this year and missing the playoffs by a few games, or just getting into the playoffs and not being able to win that first series, I'm fine with that, because what this season is proving to me right now is that they can go all in next year. Spend some money in free agency. Maybe next year you look at getting rid of a guy like Jonathan India in the offseason. I've heard you guys talk a lot about that. I'm not against trading a guy like Jonathan India, but why don't you wait until you've seen most of a season from some of these young guys that McClain and LaCruz and Steer and maybe a guy like CES even are actually major league caliber hitters and are going to do it for the course of an entire season. If you get through this season and you still feel the same way about all these guys, like we've got a log jam in the infield, we've got to move one of these pieces, then package Jonathan India with somebody and move him. But right now, I don't think that's what they should be focused on. I think you try to get the best deal you can for a middle-of-the-rotation type pitcher, whether that means Nick Senzel and one of your really young, low-level guys that you're not as focused on in the minor league system, or it's maybe you're just taking on an expiring contract and paying most of that and giving them one of your major league guys who isn't really in the plans for the future. I'm not sure, but that's what I'm looking for, is a bargain deal, another team that's kind of desperate to get rid of an expiring contract to get you through this year, hopefully get you a little closer to the playoffs. But I'm not giving away any young pieces of value just yet.
Rick, a couple more questions for you. Any thoughts just where we're at now? It's kind of a dead period with the Bengals and everything else going on right now as they kind of turn their attention toward training camp coming up here in a few weeks. But do you have any overall thoughts? You can say no, but I'll give you the floor. Anything on the Bengals here just casually before the season gets going? We flip the calendar to July.
No, I just think there's so much talk about Joe Burrow's contract right now, and that's just one thing that I could honestly care less about. Or I could not care less about it, because he's going to get signed, and it's going to be for a ton of money. He'll be the highest paid quarterback ever. Quit worrying so much about that. Yes, there is concerns about how the deal is structured and how many guys will be able to be signed in terms of his wide receivers and keeping that core together after you make that deal. But the constant conversation about, is Joe Burrow's deal going to get done, to me is just completely pointless and mind-numbing. I'm so sick of hearing about it because, and granted, Skinny and I talk about it as much as anyone, so I fully understand that it's something you kind of have to address right now, especially when there's not a lot going on. But Joe Burrow is going to get signed, and it's going to be a deal that makes sense for both him getting paid as much as any quarterback ever has, and the team having as much flexibility to keep some of his top talent around him.
One last question for you, Rick. There is one member of our chat, and we're going to go back to college basketball for just a second. There is one member of our chat who is, I'm going to assume, an avid Dayton fan, and who has
I can't see the chat for the record. Just
No. That's fine.
Okay.
That's fine. I'll tee up for it. I'm assuming this person has been or is a Dayton fan because they've been in the chat for months now, trying to understand why Xavier won't schedule Dayton. I have tried to explain that it doesn't benefit Xavier at all to go up to UD Arena. I know a lot of fans want, especially a lot of the older fans, want to reignite the rivalry. A lot of the younger fans couldn't care less because they haven't played Dayton in forever. And I think a lot of the very young fans, especially of my generation, would tell you that a 90-61 Xavier win in November of 2015 is fine with being the last memory of that rivalry. But I have made my point on that. You know as well as anybody, as somebody that did not go to either school and who just covers the college basketball scene, you also know the answer to this. Maybe you can share your thoughts on Xavier and Dayton.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much more I can add other than what you just said, because that pretty much is the story. I don't know why anyone thinks Xavier would care so much about this. Like, it's gone, it's past. I don't know why Dayton fans, quite honestly, care so much about this, because it's not like it's gone well for them. And at this point, if you're a Dayton fan, you're asking to be bought by Xavier, I think. I mean, you can't really think Xavier's going to play a home and home with you at this point. There's no way they would ever go up and play at UD Arena for no reason at all like that. So you're asking to be bought by Xavier and get paid money to come down to Cintas Center and lose. I just don't see that happening. I don't see it making sense for either side. And honestly, I'm kind of bored with the whole thing. Like, I could care less about the UD-Xavier rivalry, a rivalry that was at one time in the A-10 and has passed us by many years ago.
What are your thoughts? Go ahead.
I have one quick question for you, Rick. I have one quick question for you. Who wins in a one-on-one, Jizzle James or Des Claude? They play one-on-one, first to 21. Who wins? Well,
we haven't seen Jizzle play at the college level yet, so that's going to be a little bit unfair. But
many are saying he's the next Michael Jordan. Many.
I think he has a lot of potential. I don't know that he's like the most dynamic scorer coming in as a freshman, so I would probably go Des Claude since he has that experience over him. I think Des Claude is going to have a big year, but Jizzle James is a guy I'm really high on. I'm excited about him for UC.
What about Dan? All right, well, same matchup. Dan Skillings versus Des Claude. We'll go roster by roster. Which Bearcat can beat Des Claude?
Dan Skillings, this is why UC's roster is so interesting, because I could argue that Dan Skillings will be UC's best player this year. And
I agree.
I also don't know that Dan Skillings is going to be in the starting lineup when the season starts.
I agree.
Like, I mean, go through the lineup right now, right? I mean, it's probably, assuming the big men are healthy, you've probably got Assis starting at center, Victor starting at the 4.
Yep.
Then you go to CMOS starting at the 3. And I think if you bring CJ Frederick in, with all those people knowing him as well as they did, I have to imagine a big part of the sell for CJ Frederick to come to UC was, you're going to start for us. I could be wrong, but my guess is CJ Frederick will start at the shooting guard position early in the year, and that way Wes can kind of even dangle the carrot for Dan Skillings a little bit, be like, we need you to get even better, prove even more, work harder, be more consistent, those types of things. And then I assume, do you believe it'll be Jizzle James or Day Thomas starting at the point guard spot, Zebra?
It would be hard for me not to. I'm a Jizzle guy. I'm going to say Jizzle, but I don't think it'll happen. I don't think Jizzle will start.
I typically lean experience in those situations, knowing how coaches think, and I lean Day as well. So if that's your starting lineup, again, you could have Dan Skillings coming off the bench, and it would not surprise me at all this year if he is their leading scorer, their best player. I think he's got a lot of talent. He could be an NBA-type shooting guard.
Okay, sounds like he's better than Des Claude. That's good for me. That sounds like a win for me.
Check that mark.
I was really sad to see Jeremiah Davenport didn't transfer to Xavier. I think he really could have built a couple bricks for you guys. I thought his 3-point game really could have benefited Xavier.
I imagine most UC fans probably felt that way. Yes.
What were your thoughts on Jeremiah Davenport, Zebra?
I think he got a bad rap, but man, there would be times where like he would heat check. He was 0 for 15 in a game, and he would heat check from the logo. He would just heat check from wherever, and it would be air balls, and it would just be like the worst shots. I think he's a good guy. I think UC fans gave him a hard time, but man, there were games where just like he couldn't hit like the rim, just side of the backboard. It was just bad.
As an NKU fan, let me just say, I am sorry to see JD moving on, considering NKU will be playing at UC this year.
What a half that was, 11 points. 11 points for the rest of our lives.
Last year for NKU. Yes.
Were you at that game?
No, I was working the game. So so a little backstory about that game.
How'd that internet sound?
NKU's Wi-Fi broke down in that game, Rick. So we had all our broadcasters calling on cell phones.
I'm aware. I was the one calling to you doing it, if you don't remember.
Well, no, I was on the UC side. So I was working with Mo and Terry and Dan, and those are just professional guys, but they were frustrated because I'd argue NKU might have done that on purpose. Sabotage.
I heard Mo had a few choice words for NKU's facilities that night. But here's the thing, Zebra. You're telling me that NKU's only chance to actually be in the spotlight in the city and have people paying attention to one of their regular season games and have 8,000 fans in there, have multiple media outlets covering it, You think they wanted to not get the coverage? You think they wanted the Wi-Fi to go down? I mean, clearly we're just incompetent and don't know how to do things in Highland Heights. I think
their pride just wanted to beat UC, and they did it. And they did it. That's all they cared about. They didn't care about giving a good product to the people. They just wanted to beat UC, and then we scored 11 points in the second half.
Yeah, it's called focus. You might try it out once in a while.
I remember sitting up in that game. That game was sold out, and I got tickets, and we sat like 3 rows from the top for the first half of that game. And when the Wi-Fi went out, I was looking down at the press row trying to figure out where all the broadcasters were sitting. It was so crowded. And I saw Rick, and I see Rick doing this. And I look over at my friends I'm with. I'm like, oh, my God, the Wi-Fi probably went out. I bet they're calling the game. Their Comrex probably is down. I bet they're calling the radio station right now and doing the game. Because that's a very relatable problem in, like, minor league baseball or whatever. And you have to, like, call the radio station. I'm going, this is a disaster.
Yeah, it was bad.
Elliot, do you remember how long it took to get back up? Was it halftime?
Yeah, so right at the second half, I think at the second half we were good. But the whole first half was a no-go.
Because what happened was Jim would have the cell phone the entire time. He'd call the entire action for like 4 minutes straight, and then there'd be the media timeout, or dead ball media timeout, and he'd pass the phone off to me. And, like, we'd have the ads run, and then we'd come back from the media timeout, and I'd just read off, like, all the stats, give him, like, another 30-second break, and I'd be like, all right, back to Jim with the play-by-play.
And by the way, that was my first game I ever ran. So that was the very first basketball game I ran for the station, and I didn't know what I was doing. Mo was stressed out of his mind, and I forget who was running. I think it was maybe Austin running for you guys. I forget who ran the NKU side of things, but it was chaos. And then on top of it, my team loses to NKU.
And by the way, scores 11 points in the second half.
And 11 points in the second half.
Can't
That's
forget
tough.
that.
I wonder how many of those points were Davenport's. I'll have to go back and look.
I don't know, but I know there were several of them that he did not score. I do remember that.
Rick, I have a question, last question for you. Somebody in the chat, Alex Wallace, wants to know if you copied James Rapine on your background because it says it's incredibly similar.
I've told you that. I've told you that multiple times. I guess not on here, but I've said it multiple times. Credit to James Rapine. I completely ripped him off. 100%. At least I went black just to not completely steal it, but that was 100% my inspiration. I had a terrible setup in my office, as Paul can tell you. We've been doing podcasts together for a couple years, and it looked like I was podcasting at a Wild Bill sex dungeon in here. So I tried to look at some of the other backgrounds that people looked like they had very limited space to work with. And I thought, James Rapine looks like he's literally sitting inside of his shelves when he does those things. So maybe that setup would work for me. And lo and behold, it did. So if you have anything to send over, I can put on these shelves. That'd be great. Thank you.
We'll get a zebra bobblehead.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, a zebra bobblehead would make this studio glow. Make it glow.
Yeah, can it be like a LED one?
Yeah. LED? Is that what you said?
That's hot. Yeah. That's hot in the streets, yeah. I've seen it on the YouTube channels.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good for you.
Thanks.
Good
Thanks,
for
guys.
you.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Rick.
Hey, Rick, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Elliot, hang in there, buddy. They're just yelling louder than you do when you start arguing about Jonathan India. You were on the right side of history there.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you for your support, and I await my Horizon League championship ring.
Yeah, that'll be over in a few weeks, I'm sure.
Okay, all right.
All right. Have a good 4th of July, Rick.
You too, guys. Thank you.
All right. See ya. Rick's great.
He's the best.
So you're getting a Horizon League championship ring.
I am. That was confirmed by Rick on live TV here. So if I don't get it, yikes. I don't know. He confirmed it. I await my ring. Jacob's got 15 rings.
3.
When you go to Alabama,
it doesn't sound like he's getting another one this year because in the chat, Jacob says Alabama will not make the playoff this year.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Whoa. Is that breaking news?
No. I mean, they're getting a lot of votes to win the championship, and I think it's crazy. We don't have a quarterback.
Brother, you work for the team.
And I watched all of spring practice. We don't have a quarterback.
You don't say this out loud.
Hey, be a realist.
I mean, I'm for it. But
I feel like Alabama.
No, so we got Jalen Milroe, who, he started one game, he threw 4 interceptions, fastest quarterback in the country, so that's exciting. Get the transfer from Notre Dame, who doesn't move the needle at all, but Tommy Rees loves him, so we'll see what happens there. Yeah, I mean, this defense is going to be great.
I feel like
we have
Alabama
fun weapons, but we don't have a quarterback.
I feel like Alabama quarterbacks are regularly like one of the worst parts of the team.
Bryce Young and Mac Jones were both top 10 picks. Last 2 quarterbacks we've had.
Okay,
Jalen Hurts just played in the Super Bowl.
But before, okay, wow.
Last 3 quarterbacks.
Alabama. You should apologize to Jalen Hurts. Is what you should do
Why?
because you disrespected him.
He wasn't good.
He was good.
He didn't even score a point in the first half.
This is an MVP.
Well, he's also not a Crimson Tide. He's a Sooner.
Well, because of the disrespect.
Jalen Hurts is not an MVP.
Yeah, but he could have been. He should have been.
We all could have. Should have been.
Derek Carr, MVP.
Should have been.
Should have
Carson
been.
Wentz, MVP.
Carson. Well, yeah, that's a
Derek
good
Carr.
point. Derek Carr could have been.
Andy Dalton, before he broke his thumb. Second.
Could not have been. Could not. Andy Dalton sucks.
Andy Dalton is every bit
Oh,
of MVP as
no.
Jalen Hurts.
Reed.
Andy Dalton sucks.
That is the one guy. That is the one guy that I love. That is a good guy too.
He's
okay.
a great guy.
All right. Oh, he's the best guy in the whole world. He's my best friend. But we're talking about his play on the field. The guy couldn't win a clutch moment.
His regular season stats are better than Peyton Manning's regular season stats.
Correct.
Couldn't win a playoff game.
Correct.
If you can't win in the playoffs, your career doesn't matter.
Fair enough.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the Reds.
Franchise don't matter.
Let's talk about the Reds and the Padres. It's 11 o'clock, so we've wrapped up our first hour here. Second hour, let's talk some Reds and Padres. Padres, Reed, I know you know. So I'll toss this to you here. But it seems like the Padres are there. I don't remember, Jacob, if it was you that said it or Elliot. One of you guys made a great point.
Credit Jacob. I credit Jacob.
They're not getting the criticism that they deserve to be getting.
The Mets outdid them on the payroll, which a lot of people didn't think was possible after the Padres signed Xander Bogaerts. Mets outdid them on the payroll. Mets are being slightly worse, so they're getting all the flack for being the expensive team that can't produce. But, man, Verlander and Scherzer only pitch once every 5 days. That $300 million in San Diego is going to position players, and they are not producing.
Well, the reason that the Mets are getting more flack is just purely because of the city that they they play in, right? I mean, if the Yankees and the Reds had the same aspirations going into a year and they play the exact same underwhelming ball, the Yankees are going to get more flack just because they're in New York City. The San Diego Padres are an anomaly. I mean, you look across their team, Juan Soto's having a pretty good season. Fernando Tatis is having a really good season. Xander Bogaerts, middling. Manny Machado obviously is playing bad, but it doesn't make a whole lot of sense why they're not playing well. I mean, you look across their lineup, it's the exact lineup that you aspire to have when you start coming up as a franchise. When the Reds are looking at their lineup right now, they're like, man, if we could look like the Padres someday, where we have two probably going to be Hall of Famers, if not three, in the lineup in their prime, and it's just not working. It's just not working. And a big part of it, not to rehash the same arguments that we've been having for 4 days now, is it just seems like there's not a whole lot of cohesion in that locker room. There's stories come out of it about how it doesn't work together. It reminds me of, NBA teams when they get 3 of the best 10 players in the league, and then it just doesn't work. The Brooklyn Nets, for instance, you get all these players together, and then it just doesn't work for whatever reason. For some reason, when you pull pieces from across the league, how great they can be, it never works.
It just seems like they could use a team leader, just a guy to unify the bunch.
Agreed.
Perhaps maybe, I don't know, I'm trying to think, Jonathan India, maybe a guy like that, just a guy who is just a glue guy. He's just going to glue all these pieces together in various backgrounds. Is he going to play great defense? I don't know.
Send Jonathan India to the Padres. Give me Dylan Lesko.
But you look. I'm telling you right now, the Reds have a significantly worse roster on paper than the Padres do. Winning games. Padres losing games.
Look at every great leader that has, quote unquote, great leader in Major League Baseball over the past couple decades. They've came up through that franchise. You look at this roster, there's only really one star on this team that has come up through the Padres, and that's Fernando Tatis Jr. And there's serious concerns about his character, right? Clearly not the type of moral fiber that you want out of the guy that has come through the franchise. And the team has had those conversations, right? It's the same. It just, if you have a leader that comes through the franchise, he's got to lead. You can't plug people from other places and expect them to lead. It just doesn't work.
And you got to keep him, and you can't trade him. no matter how bad the fan base wants you to.
Guys that come through the organization as leaders. Matt McClain, Spencer Steer. I guess not Spencer Steer, but Matt McClain, leader.
India, leader of men. I think the Padres, okay, Reed, you're a baseball guy, baseball expert, Reed Mouse. Padres, are they in the playoffs, Reed?
No.
Do you think they make the playoffs this season?
No, not in that division.
No. Okay.
There's three teams ahead of them that are playing, that not only have a jump on them, but they're playing better. Like, they're just playing better. No.
Padres are 8 games out of the wild card.
Right. It's a no.
Yeah.
It's
You're thinking 3 NL West, 1 NL Central, and then 2 NL East?
Right now, the 3 wild card teams are the Marlins, the
7
Dodgers,
teams
and
make
the
the
Giants.
postseason, right?
Is it 7 or 6? It's 6, isn't it?
They aren't they?
7.
Oh, it's
The
7?
4 division champs and 3 wild cards.
Oh, it's 3 wild cards now?
Yeah.
Oh, hell yes.
Couple years.
Okay, so then it'll be Marlins,
There's 3 divisions, not 4 divisions.
Right.
Marlins, Phillies, Braves.
Wait, there's 6 teams.
There's
only
6
three-
teams.
Yeah,
It's
three-
6 teams.
3
It's
wild cards
three
and 3
divisions,
divisions.
3 wild cards.
Okay, that's what I said. It was 6.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, so I was right. Who's coming out of the NL East?
The Atlanta Braves are probably going to win that division, and then the
Yeah,
Miami
they're
Marlins
like
look
minus-
like a wild card team.
They're the number 1 wild card team right now.
Yeah, they look like a wild card team.
I don't buy the Marlins yet. Not yet, at least. I think they could.
Yeah, I mean, they're just 14 games over 500 with a guy hitting 400.
I would still.
Can't buy that.
Yeah, the
Right,
Marlins.
Jacob.
I mean, not to
Beating me with
liken them
numbers.
too much to the Reds. A wildly exceeding expectations going into the season, and then they're doing something that doesn't seem sustainable, like the Reds coming back from every game. That, say for one, it's exciting and it's great, but it's just purely not sustainable. You can't come back 6-2 every single ball game. The Marlins win every single close game. Every single one-run game. I think they lead the league in one-run games. And I think the Reds are number 1 in comeback wins. The Marlins are number 2. So there's a lot of worries about the Marlins, but they've got a lot of young players. So
Yeah, the Orioles are up there too on comeback wins, and now all of a sudden, if you're the Reds, you turn your attention to a team that, on paper, again, just like if you're playing the Mets, could pose some problems. What are our thoughts? What are our thoughts on Orioles legend Manny Machado? I go back and forth on Machado.
I'm one of the biggest Manny Machado fans you'll ever meet.
I go back and
I
forth.
why
agree
don't you
on
like
him.
Machado?
I love
Like
it.
what
I
is
don't
there to
know.
go against Manny Machado?
I've liked him more in recent years, but I felt like there was a point there maybe 3-4 years ago, right before COVID, and I could be misremembering this. He just felt very frustrating. I don't know if it was off the field, on the field. I think frustrating is the way I could say it. But he's good.
Let me say this right now. Unless Manny Machado falls off a cliff,
It would have to be.
it would have to be a steep cliff.
Yeah.
He's a Hall of Famer.
Right.
He's only 30 years old. I feel people forget these players because they've been in our brain for over a decade now. Manny Machado, Bryce Harper. These guys are still very young. I mean, Manny Machado's 30 years old. He's a Hall of Famer, and he's exciting. Hits home runs. Plays great glove. Like he's
Manny
got a
Machado,
lot of swagger.
30 years old, over 1,600 hits.
Yeah.
Where could he go? Where could he get to?
No, you can't get to 3. I think 3,000 hits is. We might see one player every 3 decades.
Does Manny Machado have the best chance of any active player? Probably.
If Elvis Andrus didn't fall off a cliff, he had a sneaky because he's at like 2,400 hits already.
What about Arias?
No.
How old's Arias? You got to come up when you're 20 years old because you got to do 20 years. I mean, you got to have 20 years of 150
Mike Trout's
hits.
at 1,600 as well
I mean, Mike Trout's no.
at 31 years old.
Arias is 26,
But he's
and
not
he has
even
career. Oh, he's not even close.
Yeah.
Never mind. He's got 558 hits.
He's really just had these last 2 years,
Yeah.
maybe 3.
Freddie Freeman kind of has a shot. I know he's a little older.
He's old, yeah.
He just hit 2,000, but I mean, the bat to ball's still there. I mean, you're talking 5-7 more years of 150 hits. So I mean, just keeping a level of production decently till you're 40, like Joey Votto has.
One of the Cardinals just hit 2,000 hits as well, didn't they? Either Arenado or Goldschmidt.
Goldschmidt is 130 shy.
Okay.
Who's the next player to hit 700 home runs? Because there's nobody even remotely close right now. Miguel Cabrera is the active leader. He's 40 years old. He has 508.
Judge is too old, right?
Yes.
Judge is too old. Judge is 31 years old. He only has 239 home runs.
Not gonna get it done.
That's not going to get it done.
Yeah,
I mean, you gotta
Stanton
go
got
young.
hurt too much. Stanton
Yeah.
was on a really great pace for it. Stanton
Yeah, Stanton has 385 home runs in just over 6,100 plate appearances. That's way outpacing Miguel Cabrera. Way outpacing him. And
He misses too much time.
he just missed too much time. I mean, I don't see anybody on this active home run list that makes me think, oh, yeah, he's getting there.
Yeah, Pete Alonso came up when he was too young or too old. He was like 23. You got seriously, if you want to go after all-time records, you got to come up when you're 19, 20 years old. Because, I mean, if you even think about 300 wins, 300 wins is 20 seasons of 15 wins. That is unheard of. That 300 wins, 3,000 strikeouts, we will see those. I mean, we might never see 300 wins again. We'll see 3,000 hits, but it's going to be like once every couple decades, not where it was in the 70s, 80s, 60s, where there's 3 to 4 guys every decade getting it. 700 home runs. The home runs thing, I think, can still be toppled. I mean, like Hank Aaron was never a high-volume home run guy. He just played for forever and did it consistently until he was in his 40s. That's where it's going to be. It's not going to be the guy hitting 70 home runs anymore. It's going to be the guy that plays when he's 42, 43 years old and still hitting 30 home runs.
Can Shohei Ohtani hit 64 home runs this season? How laugh-out-loud
What's he
funny
at
would that
right
be?
now?
29, I think.
That'd be crazy.
So he's, I mean, literally a home run under pace, basically.
So is this the greatest single season of any athlete in any sport ever? I mean, he is the best
boy.
pitcher in baseball, and he's the best hitter in baseball.
I saw somebody the
Trying to
other day valuing what he is as a pitcher and valuing what he is as a hitter, and I think it was like just purely based on the statistics.
Right.
Just running it through a computer simulator, no Ohtani factor, it just purely his stats. And it was like 8 years, $200 million as a pitcher, and it was like 9 years, $300 million as a hitter.
He's a $1 billion player.
What
Yeah, he could be a $1 billion player.
Yep.
One thing we don't appreciate from Shohei Ohtani is he left $100 million on the table to come to the United States.
He gambled on himself.
Because how it works is you have to play 6 years of professional ball before you can become an unrestricted free agent. So he was over in Japan. They let him go. So he can only get signed as an international free agent, same way that the 16-year-olds from the Dominican Republic can get signed. So all he was getting paid his first 3 years in the league was league minimum and then whatever his signing bonus was, which when it's international pool money is like $9 million. And now that he's in arbitration, he's getting $35 million a year because that's what he's worth. But he left quite literally $100 million on the table to come over to the United States when he was 23 years old, as opposed to waiting until when he was 27 like Ichiro did, like Daisuke Matsuzaka did, like pretty much every Japanese player ever has, because he knew how great he was, and he just wanted to do it on a worldwide scale, not just in Japan.
I'm sitting here trying to think of some other historical, just not even baseball, any sport, to see a season like what you're going to see here out of Shohei Ohtani. And I don't even want to touch the topic of voter fatigue. The man is the most valuable player.
You can't fatigue. You can't.
We fatigued on LeBron.
NBA does it.
but-
NBA does it every year, which sucks. And Jacob and I
That
have
is
had,
true.
Jacob and I have had this discussion. Jokic should have won the MVP.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, I don't know how Jokic doesn't win the MVP every season right now.
The voter fatigue for LeBron is like, oh, LeBron goes out there and he's bigger and stronger and faster than everyone else and he dominates. All right, how good is he really? Then you don't vote for him. Well, I obviously think LeBron's the greatest basketball player of all time and he should have probably 10 MVPs. But I digress. Shohei, you cannot get tired of 20 wins and 50 home runs.
We already did, guys. Last year, I know Aaron Judge had a greater WAR than him. I know that Aaron Judge led the league in runs, RBIs, home runs, on-base percentage, slugging percentage. He did all those things. But if before Shohei Ohtani came into the league, I told you Aaron Judge is going to do this. He's going to hit 62 home runs, 130 RBIs, lead the league in all these categories, play a great glove. But also, there's going to be this guy who hits 35 home runs, bats .270, gets on base 36% of the time, slugs over 500. Oh, and he strikes out over 200 batters. And he has a 2.33 ERA, never missing a start. You go, oh, that guy wins the MVP, hands down. But he already won the MVP the season before. He already had the greatest season in Major League history the season before. And he just repeated it and was better on the mound, wasn't as good at the plate. And we just got fatigued just because we had this shiny new home run record from Aaron
Judge breaking the record makes him get that MVP. I don't know that that's voter fatigue as much as it's just like you got to give the MVP to the guy that broke the record. I mean, anyone in Cincinnati remembers the 2017 MVP race. I mean, Giancarlo Stanton won that award just because he hit 59 home runs. Joey Votto was better at every statistic that year.
Right.
Like, I don't know. I don't think that's as much what we're talking about in voter fatigue.
Well, let me put it this way: if Shohei didn't have the season before that he had,
I still think Judge wins that MVP.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Yeah, and PB's Ghost points out, a Babe Ruth season. Everett points out Tiger Woods in 2000. Tiger Woods 2000.
Yeah.
I could see.
Slam.
I could listen to an argument for Tiger Woods
All right,
in
let's
2000.
say team sports then. Let's say team sports.
When Tiger Woods was minus money to win tournaments.
It's got to be one of the Wayne Gretzky seasons. I mean,
I wasn't even thinking hockey. That's probably
Wayne Gretzky. What do you do? I don't know hockey very well, except for our beloved Dallas Stars. Shout out to
beloved
GM getting GM of the year. I don't even know.
Shout
his
out to
name.
Macklemore.
Yeah, shout out
shout out Macklemore.
I wouldn't be a Dallas Stars fan without the song Thrift Shop. But didn't Wayne Gretzky score 300 points in a season, and no one has scored 200 points in a season ever besides Gretzky?
I think so, something like that.
Sounds right.
But if Shohei hits 60 home runs and wins, I mean, I don't know how many games he's on pace to win, but I mean,
would it be incredible if Shohei hits 500 home runs and 3,000 strikeouts?
Oh my God!
I mean, just absolutely incredible.
And he's gonna do it all on the West Coast. Brutal.
He'll be in the Central Time Zone next year.
If Shohei hits 60 home runs and wins 20 games this year, is that the best season ever? That's the mark I'm going for.
Here's a question for Reds fans. Obviously, it would hurt the competitive nature of the National League Central. But would you guys not get at least a little excited to get to see Shohei? Because the Cubs are one of the teams that are in the hunt for Shohei at the free agency.
If Shohei signs with the Cubs, I would be okay not waking up the next morning.
So that would
I agree.
you wouldn't even get excited
would
about the
ruin
fact that he's going to play 6 games at Great American Ballpark every year.
It would ruin baseball for me.
If this is my pitch, I know Shohei's watching right now. Shohei, listen, man. If you come to GABP, you will be the greatest baseball player, greatest athlete to ever live. You'll hit 95 home run seasons.
Fact.
What
3 a
number is
game.
he?
How old is Shohei?
No, what's his number?
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know.
What number does
The
he
number on
wear?
his back?
17.
17, yeah.
Yeah, 17,
Okay.
yeah.
Can't call Stu back up. That would stink.
I mean, would he hit more home runs at Great American Ballpark or Yankee
Yes.
Stadium?
Yeah, I was going to say, if you're going to do
was
that
gonna
argument,
say.
he needs to be a Yankee.
He does go opposite field a lot.
Short porch though. Listen.
Yankees a lot shorter. It's like
Yankees the shortest.
yeah, it's like 10 feet shorter. 15. It's a more left-handed friendly home run park.
All right.
Now, when he goes opposite field, those balls are gonna.
But right center is still deeper at Yankee Stadium than GABP, right?
Let me put it this way. Anthony Rizzo, if he played at Wrigley Field, he hit like 32 home runs for the Yankees last year. If he played at Wrigley Field, he had like 12. Because every single home run just.
The amount of balls that just squeak over that fence
Yep.
is way more than you even think.
Okay.
Like,
All right.
Does he pitch at a pitcher-friendly park?
Angel Stadium's kind of.
it's not.
It's neither.
It's not.
Right down the middle?
It's not got a reputation.
It
for
doesn't
either.
benefit either more than the other.
I would say, you know what? Shohei, as a left-handed hitter, they got that big wall out in right field.
Yeah.
It probably hurts him hitting-wise a little bit. They've got like a 20-foot wall out in right center field.
Shohei to the Dodgers, probably.
That's my guess. I mean,
That would suck.
I don't think
It would
he's-
suck.
Dude, LA and we've already talked about this. LA winning anything sucks. LA sucks. It just sucks.
LA sucks.
I mean, there are 0 sports fans ever in LA. I'm sorry. There's just nothing. Like, there will be no parade. There's nothing.
Your home team plays in the Super Bowl. We outpack it.
Yeah,
You can't even
it's-
tailgate the national championship game at SoFi.
LA's.
Yeah, I'm over Shohei playing out west.
It's not even a
Over.
sports. They don't get Shohei.
I'd be okay with him playing in New York. Like I'd be okay like Yankee Stadium.
Could you
sure.
imagine him in Philadelphia, Reed? He would break that city.
As a bank,
He would break the city of
The
Philadelphia.
problem with Philadelphia is I mean, he has a bad month. They're just like done with him.
As a baseball fan, I kind of want him in Atlanta.
Atlanta.
How disgusting would that Atlanta roster be?
It'd be the greatest. It would be the greatest show on turf.
It'd be unreal.
Ham and Eggers,
Mr. President?
take it away.
It's that time of the show, the Ham and Eggers. These guys are great. Trust me, I would know. I introduce all the best segments.
Shout out to Nathan Hines, who has one of the best comments that have ever been in this show. Can we go one off the bench without a mention of Anthony Rizzo? My friends ask that same question every single day in the group chat. See you later, Paul. Just go ahead and open it. Right. Ah! All right, we didn't see the door. All right, we talked about the city of Cincinnati. We talked about the Bearcats. I think we even brought up the Bengals. So the Bengals report is brought to you by Encore Technologies. Encore Technologies provides IT solutions for a data center world with a suite of services from mobile computing to desktop to data center, supporting both centralized and work-from-home computing models to improve efficiency and, take it away, Casey?
Productivity.
Yep, visit encore.tech. The path to innovation begins here. Are you still drinking regular water? Did you know that alkaline water has been shown to have superior hydration benefits versus regular water in a clinical study? There's a new premium alkaline water out there. It's Pawnee, and I have to tell you. I won't tell you, I'll show you. This stuff tastes great. And it's made right here in Hamilton, Ohio. Pawnee uses natural limestone filtration, unlike the artificial processing that many other brands use. The result is a healthy alkaline water that is also the best tasting water in the world. Only one ingredient in this, and that is water. Go look at other alkaline waters. There will be other, they put saline, they put salt in there basically to get that alkaline solution, not Pawnee. You can see where you can get Pawnee water at pawneewater.com. That's PAHHNI water.com. Find it pretty much in any store around here in Butler County, so be on the lookout for it. If you guys don't have anything going on in the next week, there are 2 concerts at the River's Edge Concert Series. That's right down the street here in Hamilton, Ohio. Pawnee Water is the official water of that. On the 4th of July, I'm sure you guys already have plans, but the Arena Rock Show. They play all the hair bands from the 80s. It's a big what to do. It's a big spectacle. It's a lot of fun. That'll be on 4th of July. And then July 8th, next Saturday, is the Taylor Swift Experience. Those concerts are free here in Hamilton. I'll be at both of them. Come and find me. Let's share a pint. Why
The face
not?
of Hamilton, Reed Mouse.
Taylor Swift is coming to Hamilton?
Taylor Swift Experience.
Well, that's all you want.
Taylor Swift is coming, right? That's what I.
All you want is
keep
the
saying the Taylor
experience.
Swift Experience. It's Taylor Swift, right, Jacob?
Yeah.
That's Taylor Swift.
Yeah, it's a blonde girl that's going to sing Taylor Swift songs. What more do you want?
For less than $1,000 a ticket.
It is absolutely free. They did up the price on a pint of beer from $5 to $6. It was $4 2 years ago.
Biden's America.
Biden's America is just getting outrageous. DT47 soon enough. Guys, you guys going to any of the games? You guys doing anything down in Cincinnati this weekend?
I'm going Sunday.
Sunday.
Oh, what a camera switch. Oh no.
I was trying to get in before he cut it over.
Can we get a replay?
Is there a replay of that,
Is there a
really?
replay booth in the Chatterbox studio?
Oh, man. I was trying to get in because I knew he was going to cut the camera when you
no.
guys started talking.
Casey,
That was
Casey,
bad
what are
news.
you doing?
See that on the Not Too Picky Twitter later today.
Casey was going for blood on that one.
I like to keep you on your toes.
Speaking of going for blood, Casey, you should be on a victory lap right now. A victory lap. Why are you not on a victory lap right now?
Oh, I like to just let it sit in a little, let it simmer,
Yeah, so like what happened last week, Casey defended Geno Smith as a top 10 quarterback in the NFL.
And won the argument on a clean sweep.
Yeah, you won the argument.
Clean
And
sweep.
then gets defended on social media without knowing.
By known big brain football analysts, PFN.
Thoughts, Casey?
Known very smart PFN.
Yeah, I love PFN. Love it now.
Casey's the biggest
Love
PFN supporter in
now.
the world now.
I mean, I couldn't be any more happy. And you know what? It wasn't even just that Geno Smith was a top 10 either. It was the fact that Aaron Rodgers was in the exact same spot that I had him at 11, which is even better. Just a little cherry on
Deshaun
top.
Watson at 26, Jacoby Brissett at 20.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense to me. I mean, I didn't even have Deshaun Watson on my list. I had Jacoby Brissett in there.
Jacoby Brissett's not even the starting quarterback in Washington.
No, he's not. He's not, and he's still 20th. I like it. I love it.
Casey,
Mike Florio, man.
what
I
a
love him.
ridiculous camera shot. I just went and rewatched it.
Can we put it on?
What
Is there
a
a way to get it
ridiculous.
back
I
on?
don't know if you can you see. Wait, hold on.
They can rewatch it, Paul.
I mean, what
They
a
don't
ridiculous,
have-
what a ridiculous camera shot.
OTBception right here.
Yeah.
OTBception.
What is this? What is?
What?
Run it.
It's like
All right. Do you have the tweet? Do you have the top 10 tweet?
That's called Fritschception.
I was giving you a second there to pull it up.
Slender Man.
Do you have it? I don't.
I will have it up here in a minute.
Okay. All right.
What you guys can do, though, while we're discussing that.
Oh, here we
Yeah,
go.
Let's go ahead and do the
Let's
matchup.
get
Nice.
immaculate, boys. Let's
So
get
did I say this on air? But apparently Edwin Jackson. I mean, there's no way to fact check this. I saw this on Twitter last night. Edwin Jackson has been a correct answer on the immaculate grid for 68 straight immaculate grids. I think they're only on like 85. So almost every single one of them. But Elliot, take us away.
All right, so I'll go first. Blue Jay Tiger. This is a household name. Everybody should know this. Derek Law. Derek Law. It's the law firm. A Reds Hall of Famer, Derek Law.
Blue Jay Tiger.
Blue Jay
Blue Jay
Tiger.
Okay.
Derek Law.
Blue Jay.
While we're
Tiger,
talking
right?
about Reds Hall of Famer, let's go ahead and put another one in there.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Ray, Rookie of the Year. One out well.
All right, let's go. Yeah, let's go Reds, future Hall of Famer, Tampa Bay Rookie of the Year. So Tampa Bay over to Rookie of the Year, Will Myers. There's only one L in Will.
There we go.
Yeah.
There it is.
There it
Okay.
is. Paul, you got one for us?
Yeah.
Got a hometown hero.
Tampa Bay and Philly. Zach Eflin.
I got a
That plays.
hometown hero
That
for Blue
plays.
Jays Rays. Luke Maley.
Eflin, yep.
Is that it right there?
Yep.
It's hard to tell. Okay.
Okay.
That's a good
Luke
one.
Maley, Blue Jays Rays. Cubcath.
Cubcath.
Cincinnati.
Maley.
Go Colonels.
Right there. 0.2%. I did this earlier. David Price was who I put right there. You know what? Let's get a lower. The easier answer for Tigers Rookie of the Year would be Justin Verlander, but let's get a lower percentage. Let's go Mark Fidrich, the Bird. I don't know how to spell. It's Fid, F-I-D. Yep. That top one there. Yes.
8%.
8%.
You got a lot of options for Rookie of the Year, 40 home runs. Do you want to try to get a low percentage, Reed?
Yeah. Who did I put? I put
I put
Albert.
Bryce Harper. Which,
I put Albert Pujols in there earlier, but it got a higher percentage points. I'm trying to think of other Rookie of the Years that, man, Ryan Howard won Rookie of the Year, but I don't want to go Ryan Howard either.
Spurs screaming Mark Lewis.
No. Not he did not win a Rookie of the Year, nor did he hit 40 home runs. I don't even know if he even if he hit 40 home runs in his career. Did Mark Lewis play for the Phillies? Hamiltonian. Did he play for the Phillies?
Don't know.
He did play for the Phillies and Detroit. Let's go ahead and put Mark Lewis in the Phillies Tigers. Did not know he played for the Phillies. 0.009. I love
Doesn't even
that.
have a character portrait.
That probably
no
means
headshot.
we're the only person who picked him.
Yeah.
That's
All
probably
right.
what that means.
40 home runs. I mean, the easy one for the Phillies would be like Mike Schmidt, who is maybe the most underrated baseball player ever. I'm trying to think if there's somebody else that we can put in there to get a lower percentage. Because if that's the goal, did Pat Burrell never hit 40 home runs? Let me look up Pat Burrell, see if he ever hit 40. He did not hit 37 was his highest. Go ahead and put Mike Schmidt because he's from Dayton. Phillies 40 home run season.
Mike.
I assume Ryan Howard's probably the most used for that square.
Man, we're getting some low percentage guys here, guys.
40 home run season Blue Jays. Bautista didn't hit one, did he?
I believe he did.
Was I not saying Phillies Tigers?
What?
Why is Trace calling me a dumbass?
I don't know.
Can we use another Reds legend for Blue Jays 40 home runs?
Yeah, you can use Edwin.
Yeah, sure.
Encarnacion.
Yep, Edwin.
Oh, yeah, man. Forgot he played for the Reds.
That one, right? Just make sure.
Yeah, Edwin
Okay.
Encarnacion. 7%er. All right, what's the lowest we can get for a Rookie of the Year and a 40 home run guy?
Just to clarify, this does not mean 40 home runs in his
Yes.
rookie season.
Correct.
No.
I don't.
Okay.
I think it's
No.
only happened like once where a rookie has hit 40 home runs. So,
Okay.
I'm trying to see how far we can go back. Ooh. I feel like this is gonna have a low percentage. Give me Mike Piazza.
Yeah, that'll be good. Sub 5.
Hit that X. I want to see
What
it.
is
Dude, that is such a low score. Look at us.
Let's
That is
go.
a great score, guys. We really
Does that,
only
point,
goofed-
does that say 0.6?
Yeah, it says 0.6.
Wow.
We got a 78 was our score. What a great score. 71. God, that might be, dare I say?
We could have gotten better than Encarnacion with Josh Donaldson.
We could have done better than Zach Eflin.
I thought Donaldson would be higher than Encarnacion, not lower.
People don't know who Mark Lewis is.
Yeah,
I've
never heard of Mark Lewis, so please.
So Mark Lewis is a Hamilton native. He actually coached at Hamilton High, coached Trace and Sean when they were in youth sports. Was the second overall pick in the 88 draft. Hit like 24 home runs as a senior in high school when you only play like 25 games. He played for a myriad of teams. He got full pension. He got replaced by the Indians. He was their starting shortstop, got replaced. He wanted more money. His agent told him to hold out for more money. The Indians went in a different direction. They went and got Omar Vizquel instead, and the rest is history there. But he has maybe one of the most – he has the only pinch hit grand slam in postseason history. So, Casey, I'm going to pull up a clip for you.
Oh, that's Mark Lewis?
Yeah.
I know the okay. I know that. I did not know
It is
that
from
was
the
Mark
last
Lewis.
time that the Reds won a division or won a postseason series.
Yes. Okay. I do know that. I did not know that was Mark Lewis.
Okay. Give me 2 seconds. We're doing this live. This is it. Send it to you, Casey. This was in the 1995 NLDS. So this is the last time that the Reds won a playoff series. And it was thanks in part to the city that Elliot hates. Mark Lewis.
Don't do that. Don't do that. I love Hamilton.
Yep. Game 3 in the NLDS. Bases juice. Mark Lewis coming off the bench.
Former starter.
Boom.
17. We just talked about number 17.
Riverfront Stadium.
I don't know who the hell Mark Lewis is.
Hamilton was.
09 on a Mark Lewis.
I saw he had no face. He was giving no picture.
Did not have a. Oh, poor Tommy.
Friend of the program.
Friend of the program, Tommy Lasorda.
That was jersey hung up.
I forget who was drafted in front of Mark
You want to
Lewis.
win a pennant.
He was the
you
second
wanna use
overall
your
pick.
whole roster. And right here you'll see him
the
almost
1988
pass
draft.
Rick Boone at first.
Someone who had a decent career.
And a
Thank
curtain
goodness.
call for Lewis, and Wells bats for
Mark Lewis had a
himself.
career negative WAR.
It's tough.
Davey
The
Johnson
highest
saying nobody
WAR
works harder than
in
Mark
that
Lewis. Out here
1988
at
draft
2
class
o'clock,
was Robin Ventura,
you know, a guy
56
who's
career
always
WAR.
gonna be the
Most
next
famous
shortstop
for
in Cleveland gets
anyone?
traded to the
Anyone?
Reds.
What was Robin Ventura most famous
Hits the
for?
grand slam into the
Getting his ass kicked by 43-year-old Nolan
No,
Ryan.
no, I was gonna say a fight, but I couldn't remember which
I was
one.
going to say being a pet detective. but I
Also in that first round draft choice was Jim Abbott, who, Casey, this is a fun little nugget for you. Jim Abbott pitched in the major leagues for quite a while, over a decade, threw threw a no-hitter, only had one hand.
So I played with a guy in Little League who only had one hand, and he pitched, and I was his catcher. It was incredible. I remember learning about Jim Abbott back in Little League because of him, and I don't know if they what their connection was. You know, I don't remember. Jim Abbott's still alive, right? Or is he-
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if they ever met or what, but I know he modeled it obviously after him, and the way they switch their glove and to be able to pitch, like finish your delivery and all in one motion, switch your glove over to be able to field and then be able to make a play defensively. It's incredible.
Yeah, Jim Abbott, he had like a nub of it. He still had an arm, and he would put the glove there, have it ready to like slide his hand in real quick. So he'd throw the pitch, put his glove in, and be ready to field. And if he fielded the ball, he would then have to put it and grab the ball out and flip it over to first base, all in one movement. Wild enough, he actually had at-bats in Major League Baseball. Had 2 hits.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, my friend was a very good hitter. Haven't talked to him in years, but he was a very, very good hitter.
If you're on the bump and give up that hit as a major league pitcher,
To answer
you're not
Trace,
feeling great.
Is 71 on the grid elite? Yes, it is like golf. You want to get as low of a score as possible. They add up all your percentage points. We got a 71 on the Immaculate Grid.
Oh,
That is
okay.
elite.
Good. Casey, do you have that quarterback tier?
I do.
Okay.
I do have
Fire
it.
it up. Also, did music just play in the
Yeah, I
background?
heard it.
Yeah, that was my bad. It's something for later.
Okay.
Did you see Jeff Van Gundy was fired by?
I was
ESPN?
waiting until after Casey's victory lap to
And
bring that
Jalen
up.
Rose.
We're gonna
And
get
Jalen
we're gonna
Rose.
get to all that.
Okay.
Whoa.
Started the name Jalen.
Hold on.
What?
We're gonna get to all that.
Sorry, Paul.
Please wait.
We might have to get to it now.
Oh no.
Oh
no.
no.
Oh no. It's a disaster.
So Jeff Van Gundy.
It's sad scenes in the office. It's an absolute disaster.
Oh my God.
I'm clipping it. Don't worry. I'm
Oh my
snipping
God.
this.
Jeff Van Gundy fired by ESPN. Jalen Rose too? I didn't see Jalen Rose.
Jalen Rose.
I'm
cut.
stealing Jalen Rose and
What?
Jeff Van Gundy.
Weirdham's husband.
Holy cow.
Somebody's got to pay McAfee. Somebody's got to do it. I don't know.
That's wild.
It is.
Is Jalen Rose saying that he started the name Jalen one of the most outlandish claims anyone in sports media has ever made?
Yes.
I ain't no crack house. Nah.
He said that
Which one?
His mom named him Jalen.
Yeah.
And he was the first Jalen. And everyone after him, the name Jalen has become popular. That's Jalen Rose. Refuse to believe that.
Checks out.
Checks out.
Checks out.
Yeah.
Wow. Jalen Rose was fired?
I mean, he was horrible on TV.
Well, I'm just...
Kendrick Perkins is worse. Far worse.
I don't know. They both know nothing about basketball, and Kendrick
Big-
Perkins is a little bit entertaining.
The greatest DM I've ever got is you are the Skip Bayless of Butler County sports, Kendrick Perkins bad. That's just an incredible DM that I got.
Jolly pointing out more to come. ESPN has been cutting people both in front of the camera and behind the scenes for a while.
Yep.
They did a wave of people in front of the camera, and I think he didn't get fired, but Neil Everett just retired.
Yep.
Now, SportsCenter obviously is very different now than it was way back when. You know, you're not getting your highlights the same way as when it was the 11 o'clock SportsCenter back in 2008, and you had to watch that SportsCenter to figure out what happened around the league that day. This is not that.
You watch the same hour of SportsCenter 4 times,
Yeah,
just back to back to back.
exactly. Then
ESPN
you realize it was time to go to bed.
ESPN firing people, Chatterbox hiring people. Which ride would you rather be on right now? That's all I'm saying.
Casey, throw that victory lap up on the screen.
Don't mind if I do. Don't mind if I do. Obviously, as you can see there, Gino is at number 10, top 10 quarterback.
The mouse.
Aaron Rodgers at 11. Now, to be fair,
Let's get to the rest of the list.
the rest of the list is a little shaky. Matthew Stafford's way too low on this list. He's at 27. That's one I didn't really notice.
How many touchdowns did he throw last year? That's right, Casey.
He was hurt though.
He was hurt.
And
well
they
aware.
have.
Well aware.
He also has Dak Prescott at 6. That's hilarious. Daniel Jones at 13. Jimmy G at 15. This is.
Russ had a bad year, I know, but 28?
You couldn't look at me in the eyes and tell me you'd rather have Jordan Love than Russell Wilson.
A notable omission on this power ranking. Will Levis.
You consider contract.
Will Levis. Where
No
is
Will
he?
Levis.
Where is he?
Paul, that's
Well, he's
our
not
guy.
starting. He's not starting. This is starting quarterbacks. Tannehill.
Is it?
He should be
Tannehill.
starting.
Jacoby Brissett?
He's listed as their starter on their depth chart right now.
But he won't.
I just checked.
He won't be though.
I don't even care if it is just starting quarterbacks. He's a top 10 already, Will Levis.
I agree.
It's ridiculous.
Wasn't a top 10 quarterback in this draft class.
Should have been.
I just love that Desmond Ridder is better on this list than Deshaun Watson. That makes me happy. That makes me happy
This
inside.
makes me think Casey made this list.
Working for PFN now, too?
I'll be honest. When I saw this list, I thought this was a Casey graphic that he cooked up until I saw what Twitter account it came from.
I'm woke on this tier list. Casey made it.
I don't understand the discrepancy in a lot of lists of power rankings for quarterbacks that have Geno Smith and Jared Goff so far apart, because I feel like they had incredibly similar years last year, and then on top of that, like Jared Goff had prior better history.
He's been to a Super Bowl.
Right.
I
Like
agree.
I just don't understand. Like that's what one problem I always had with Casey putting Geno in the top 10. I was like, but Jared Goff isn't. Like they had similar years last year. Geno probably had a little bit of a better year.
I
But
think part of this forecasting, though, is the weapons Geno has.
sure.
Like,
I
he
had,
has better weapons.
I had Goff at like 12 or 13, I believe, on my list. No, that's not even right. I had him ahead of Rodgers. Did I have Goff ahead of Geno? I had to have.
You did not.
So I had Geno higher than top 10.
You had Geno at 9, I believe.
Then Goff at 10.
I don't remember entirely.
I have
I
the
don't
list in
remember
front of
that
me.
one.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Gino was at 8,
And Goff was
9.
okay.
Top 5 most handsome quarterbacks in the league.
Ooh.
1.
Jimmy.
Exclude
Joe.
Over Joe?
Exclude Joe.
Joe.
Jimmy
and Joe?
Garoppolo is the most handsome.
Exclude
quarterback.
Joe. We're all going to say Joe.
Let's not be silly.
So who's 3? We agree that them two are the first two.
Jalen Hurts is 3.
Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts is handsome. You're right.
Jalen Hurts is a good-looking fella.
I feel like Josh Allen.
When Herbert gets that flow going, Herbert grows that hair out.
Sure.
It's a good-looking fella.
What about Kirk?
Is
Kirk?
Jimmy Garoppolo a real person?
Yes.
I mean, how does
Most
like
Super Bowls of any
I
active
look
quarterback.
like this? He looks like that.
Yeah.
How?
It's the Italian skin, the tan skin. That's all you're missing, Paul. You're just missing a little tan.
Hey, hopefully I'm going to the beach. Come back looking a little better next week. Maybe not. Probably not.
Get that
What's
DT special.
What's probably going to happen is I'm probably just going to get sunburned and then it'll all peel off. Not good. Okay. Is there anything else that I'm forgetting that we haven't gotten to yet? I have checked all of the boxes of topics
We
that
passed that threshold a while ago.
It's June. You know what this is? It's June 30th in the sports world.
Yeah.
And the Reds were off last night.
And the Reds were off last night.
Well, we can get into some in the vault material if you
Yeah.
want.
Let's
Yes,
go
we
in the
can.
ball, Casey.
Talk about the zebra.
the zebra.
Well, and the
Let's
chat.
run the intro.
We have the chat power rankings as well.
Well, yeah, we got 8 minutes till we get to the chat power rankings.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Before we hit this thing, Brian B., why do you want me fired? But move on.
I would like Reed hired. I'd like to be the first person to say that.
Wait,
That's why
before we get into everything with in the vault and everything else, just a little layout for the show. Not 100% sure yet if we're going to have a show on Monday. There will be no show on Tuesday.
No show on Monday.
No show Monday, Tuesday. Enjoy your 4th of July weekend. No show Monday, Tuesday. Back Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I am not here next week. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I'm in New Jersey for my cousin's wedding. Elliot, you're not here on Friday, I believe, right?
Friday, that's correct. I will be
So-
in Milwaukee. The Reds take on the Brewers. I'll be doing probably some emergency press conferences from there. Reds will win that series. Heading into
You're
the
going to
All-Star
Milwaukee
break.
next week?
Yes.
Nice. Nice.
Yes.
Enjoy that.
Thank you, Reed.
So you're going to the Jersey Shore.
I am. I'm going right next to where the Jersey Shore house, like the show was
Are you
made,
gonna-
kind of.
Are you going to do any GTLs? Gym tan laundry? Not a Jersey Shore guy.
No, it was not. No.
Not a Guido.
No.
Don't fist pump.
What about me makes you think that I would fit in well on the Jersey Shore?
I was just asking if you've seen the show.
No. I mean, like way back when, but I have no recall.
Not a GTL guy.
No, DJ Pauly D though. That's my guy. I mean, my middle name's Daniel, so Pauly
So
D.
that's what you went by when
That
you
was
used to
my
spin
guy.
the tracks.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
All right.
He's still active. A friend of mine saw him in Vegas last week.
I'm sure they're all still active.
Well, Snooki's got a kid, doesn't she?
And she's
Multiple, I
active.
think.
That's proof that
Not-
she's active.
That surprise, Paul.
I'm not saying
still-
that we're
they still do
surprised.
the
I'm
show
just
with
saying
the
that
kids, just to clarify.
she's kind of
Settling down?
Settling down, I think.
Mike, the situation, is he still in
Oh,
jail?
yeah.
I think
Love
the
Mike.
situation is he's got something going on right now, doesn't he?
He's in a situation.
He is in a situation.
Situation.
Hold on. He's
Is it tax evasion or was that?
no. I'm
That's
pretty
a
sure
cool
crime.
we're gonna in real time figure out what's up with Mike the situation. Hold on.
The greatest moment in TV.
Oh, he also has a kid.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. A lot of
They
them
all have kids. Why am I surprised that they all have kids?
They're of the age.
Look at
where-
this nice little family from Mike the Situation. Look at this nice
The
little family.
situations.
Yeah.
They're all
got two
yeah.
little situations
They got a
there.
great family situation.
The greatest moment in television history was when they're in Italy. I used to watch Jersey Shore because, of course, I was 15 when it came out. So, of course, I was just drawn like a moth to a flame with that. And they're in Italy, and Mike the Situation has no way to express his emotions. So he does what we all rational human beings do, and he slams his head in a wall this solid. Slams his head in the wall this solid. And then the next scene is him just sitting on the couch in a neck brace. It's the greatest 5 seconds of TV history. I mean, he's just slams his head in the wall and then is concerned as to why no one is worried about him wearing a neck brace the next scene. Great television.
Great show. Yeah, it's a few miles down the shore from where I'm going to be. It's a nice spot. It's a great spot, fun spot. They do charge you to go on the beach though, which is kind of wild. Yeah, you need tags to get on the beach.
Yeah.
Kind of wild scene. Beach. Am I allowed to say that it's a nice area of New Jersey, but that the beach is not a good beach? Like you walk in the water and it's just seashells everywhere, and you feel like you're walking on glass.
I don't
It's brutal.
I don't like the Atlantic Ocean. Like I don't like that. Like I prefer the Gulf. Like when I went to Outer Banks, maybe in the middle of June, and the water was freezing cold. I was like, do people do this? Like, what do people do? Like up in the like when you go all the way up there
yeah.
in Cape Cod and stuff like that. The water has to be like you can't go in the water. It's too terribly cold.
It's got to be a warm day, and you got to be really hot, like on the beach, to get in for a little bit, and then hope that you get used to it, and then you're not in long.
Right.
You're not in long.
Not refreshing at all.
All right, let's get in the vault. Elliot, I'm going to go over to you here
Thanks.
with two things. And
Okay.
one, I need a statement from the desk of Elliot Broering
Okay.
about the dump button.
About the dump. You're gonna go there, huh?
Yeah.
Do you want to go there?
No, I don't need to go there. I just need you to address it because it's all over the chat.
Okay. I worked at a radio station who I will not name because they are a competitor. There was an issue. There was some sort of issue where a dump button was not pushed. That was not me. I would like to get out in front of that. That was not me. I was not in the building when the dump button issue occurred.
Okay, that's all.
The timing of your
Next.
employment switch.
That's what I think. That's what people
yeah,
are
the
asking.
employment switch was rather soon. No further comments.
Okay.
Probably for the best.
On a positive note, Elliot.
Thanks, Paul. That was fun.
On a
That was a
positive.
fun segment. Let's do that every week.
All right.
It's called the dump segment,
on a
where Paul just dumps something on me.
on a positive note, Elliot,
Yeah,
you started the week 0-2 on the Z Brazilianaires.
I did. Some are saying it's the greatest comeback in the history of the sport.
For the second-
sport being gambling.
For the second week in a row, you are 2-2 going into Friday's Zillionaire.
It's a big day. Trace has made fun of me for this when it comes to clutch time, when it's nut cutting time. Nobody is worse than I.
Well,
Maybe Ian Jabot.
the Reed Mouse clutch gene is what it's called.
The Reed Mouse clutch gene. I
It
didn't.
does not exist.
He said that. I didn't say that, Reed. I love
Did score
you.
the game-winning run in the cable league this week.
Reed, I love you. Don't let anyone
Real
tell you
tough
I
to
don't.
pair.
Yeah, but I'm now 2-2. A great day yesterday. I was concerned that the Dodgers game was going to be canceled, and I wasn't going to get an honest victory. They won 14-3 or something, so I got my honest victory. Today, I won't spoil it. We spoiled it yesterday. I'm going to wait for the video to come out today. I'm going 3-2 this week. I always do this for some reason. 3-2 this week. This would be my first win for the Z Brazilianaires. If I were to win tonight, I love my chances. Love them.
First dry week.
First dry week. We're going for a dry week, baby.
What's your confidence level out of 10?
Can't be high.
2,
Yeah.
1, maybe 1.
Yeah.
Might be 1.
Are we getting a juiced parlay?
Paul, do you
today?
think gambling's easy?
You were 2-0 in your
Paul,
last two.
Paul.
You're making it look easy.
Paul, when you galloped across the camera hours ago,
Yeah.
gambling isn't that easy, man. It's not as easy as a gallop. And I know zebras can gallop. But gambling is no joke, and I've tried my best. I'd argue that Jacob and I were debating this. I think if you took the Z Brazilianaires every time, I'd have to go back and do some math on that. I think you're still plus money, or at least even money. So we'd have to go check that out.
It's a bold claim.
It's a bold claim, but I think I'm right. I won't spoil today. I can give just one pick though. I will take Cleveland Guardians alternate line -7.5. That's not a shtick. They're playing the Cubs.
Not a shtick.
Not a shtick though.
Jacob.
I like the Reds today. I think you Darvish. I think the Reds could win today, but I'm going to take Graham Ashcraft over 2.5 earned runs. That line seems excruciatingly low. -150 on Betfred.
Yu Darvish was scratched. It is not Yu
I said
Darvish.
no Yu Darvish.
No, it is not Yu Darvish pitching tonight. So you're going with the
Graham Ashcraft
Graham
over
Ashcraft?
earned runs.
Okay. I am going to go with. God, the Reds are plus money on the money line at home. Is there a boost? Betfred boost. Reds. Graham Ashcraft over 3.5 strikeouts and Reds to win. $50 max plus 250.
I like
Boosted from plus 215. I'm in.
Ashcraft K's scares me.
We're contradicting ourselves here, but I'm in. Why not? Value. Nobody finds ways to lose on the Reds better than me.
You know how there's Dreamweaver night? Ashcraft night's the same thing, except it's an auto loss. You just
That's
lose.
actually true.
You just lose on Ashcraft.
They both allow
You
5
wake up,
runs.
this offense knows there's no chance. You could score 35, Ashcraft's on the bump. Nah. We'll see you in left center for the 4th home run of the night for the Padres. Brutal. But good luck, Paul. I wish you luck, man. I wish you luck.
Thanks.
Casey?
I don't think that was very.
No, it wasn't genuine.
Sincere.
No, it wasn't genuine.
Mouse Cops is
No, you meant no respect there.
No, there was no respect. No genuine. Go ahead, Casey.
Oh man, I've been looking, I've been searching, and I am going to go with an Ellie prop. Let's see here. Ellie. Do they not have Ellie up? That's strange. They do not have Ellie on here. So, oh no, they do. I'm gonna do over on the singles hit, which is -110 for Ellie.
Max Kellerman was let go as opposed to Jolly.
Max Kellerman, Jay Williams, and Keyshawn Johnson.
Wow.
Jay Williams, too? Or is he just getting his show cut? Is Jay Williams getting fired?
Jay Williams is one of my favorite tweets ever on the Twitter app.
Yes.
Congratulating the Boston Celtics on hiring their first black head coach, which was actually their 3rd black head coach.
Coming on the heels of Doc Rivers.
Max
And
Max
they hired
Kellerman
the first
gone.
black head coach
Yes.
in Bill Russell.
Max Kellerman is confirmed gone. Wow.
Wow.
It's wild.
Max Kellerman, Keyshawn Johnson, Jay Williams, Steve Young, and Susie Colbert.
Now you
Susie
guys,
Colbert's
They're all
gone,
at
too?
risk. They're all
You
at
got-
risk.
you guys are new to. I
Whoa.
mean, Paul and Casey, you guys have been working here for about a year, but anytime, because Tom working here at Chatterbox, anytime a famous person in the media loses their job, people will text me and just be like, "Hey, you guys getting?" It's not far from you guys gonna get Max Kellerman.
Let's do it.
There
Kellerman
will
at
be
Chatterbox?
people that will be like, "You guys gonna hire this person? You guys gonna get this?" Like
The Kellerman Brenneman first take would be awesome.
That would be great.
It would be a show.
That'd be awesome.
It would be a show.
If Martians had the death beam pointed down,
I'm taking Iguodala. Max Kellerman, low-key a huge baseball guy. Low-key.
Did you guys both go in the Reed, you have not.
Spencer Steer over RBIs, plus 165. He's got to get one.
Are you doing a pro Reds shtick now? What's this? You bet against the Cubs 2 nights ago.
It won.
I know, but I feel,
Took the
That
under
doesn't
last
feel
night,
right.
that one.
next
feel
week
right.
next week we're bringing back records, so Reed can't do the shtick game anymore when he makes these bets. So that'll clear this up.
Rick Broering points out Susie Colbert doing color commentary for Miami Redhawks baseball next spring. Gets Susie to Chatterbox.
Nice.
Let's get it done. Is she going to get fired, though?
I don't know.
Or is she just...
It's at risk was that group I just named.
Those are some names.
I mean, you got to think they have 3 Steve Youngs. like the ex-football player that doesn't really know a whole lot and can provide a face to the booth. Like,
Still wild.
They got to pay McAfee. They got to pay him.
All right. Chat power rankings.
What does that comment mean from PB's Ghost?
What?
Keep Ray away from her if you do. What are we doing here, PB? All right, let's do chat power rankings, guys.
Jolly is. Never mind. Go ahead.
Do you have any
Chat power rankings.
graphic?
Put up the box lunch graphics,
Oh, okay.
and I'll get it rolling. Hang on, let me update this. Yep, here we go. Ready to roll.
There we
There
go.
it is.
Honorable mentions.
All right, guys, thank you for a great week in the chat. Obviously, Tom was gone most of this week. It was fun to be on the show. I didn't get to see a whole lot of the chat last week, but you guys have all done great this week. We thank you for supporting the show. We have a lot of fun sharing our week with you guys. So without further ado, let's get into the chat power rankings. Starting number 1 is the honorable mention list. We've got Brian B., who, although he tries to get me fired, and I still don't understand why. Was it? It's because I missed Chatterbox Reds when the Reds swept the Cubs at Wrigley Field, which was a tough time for me, but it kind of catapulted where the Reds are today. So you guys are welcome for that. Roger Strass, new to the chat. A lot of exclamation points, very loud. But Roger Strass, thank you for being in the chat. Kevin, I thought Kevin was a Hamiltonian for a while, but he had a chat today that made me think that he wasn't a Hamiltonian. So I had to keep him in the honorable mention. Then Drew Garrison. Drew, as always, thank you for joining in with Chatterbox. It was fun talking with you yesterday. And we're excited for the future. On this chat are a couple of Reed Mouse favorites. We got the Real Spirit Cat 1. He is not only great in the chat, he hasn't been a lot in the chat this week, but he's also a great follow on Twitter. So the Real Spirit Cat is great. Jordan Earhart, I love Jordan, fellow Hoosier fan, so we bond over that. CJ Efflers, he doesn't make the top 5, but he is committed to play on the Chatterbox Metro softball team. So
we locked that down?
Well, I mean, you said it in the chat. So
Okay, all right.
So if we do the team, I'd put that at about a 50-50 shot right now, CJ. You're in the circle. You're toeing the rubber. You're pitching. Good luck. We wish you the best. Fred M., because why not? Coming up next is people who matter the most before we get into the top chat. People who matter the most is anyone from Hamilton. This lovely city, founded in 1791, is a beautiful city.
It's a really good one. It's the most beautiful place I've ever seen in my entire life. That's not even a shtick.
Yeah. With all due respect.
With all due respect.
Right. So I will never understand why people get so much hatred that Hamilton gets. I understand that it had a rough history, but if you've been here in the past 10 years, you understand how beautiful of a town it is. Everyone that is from Hamilton really does love it, and there's a lot of pride that comes from Hamilton. One day I will not let bad things being said against Hamilton offend me so much, but for right now they do. I don't understand why people in this room who get their employment from this city actively talk bad about it.
I've never done that, so I don't know who you're talking about.
Dishonorable mention goes to the Wagner Group. I mean, how are you going to half-ass a coup? I mean,
it was just a prank.
Right. How are you going to half-ass that coup?
They showed you the cameras.
Go after it. I mean, you got all the way to Moscow. I mean, we just didn't let that chef cook long enough.
I'll be honest, I couldn't really see that picture, and it kind of looked like Mike Ehrman Trout.
That's
from here.
exactly what I was going to say.
I thought that's who that was. All right.
All right. We've expanded the chat power rankings to 6.
Big expansion.
Alex Wallace.
That's my guy.
Alex.
That's my
Top
guy.
6.
Let's go, Alex.
Come on, Alex.
Let's go. I love to see it.
We love Alex.
He's had a great week.
We love Alex.
Great, fantastic week. Fellow Hamiltonian. He didn't disclose where I live, although he found out where I live over on the west side. He found a W flag. That is where I live. What a great picture, too. Look at that smile. Looks like he got some nice sunglasses. Just a mainstay in the chat. Has been with Chatterbox since this show has started back in September. We're approaching quickly on our 1-year anniversary, so thank you for everyone.
I told you guys, I was watching like the second or third show ever, and one of the only comments, because the chat was not active back then, there were like 5 comments on the show. Alex Wallace was one of them.
Let's go.
Shout out to you, Alex.
Let's go, Alex.
Dedicated.
All right, let's number 5. Where would a chat power rankings brought to me be without Everett Henry? I'm a big Everett fan. Always have been. We've got the Ramley going on. I think that Everett is a good litmus test in this chat. If Everett is on your side, you're probably on the right side of things. I think he's a good compass for the chat. Everett, consistent as it can be. He's the Spencer Steer of the chat, if I had to give an analogy. I'm a big Spencer Steer fan.
Everett hates me. I don't know why, but he hates me.
That's
I'm
why
playing golf with him, and he hates me.
That's why I said it's a good litmus test.
Oh. Thanks, Tuft.
Number 4, Tim Hennessy.
Yes.
There's a
Yes,
picture
that's
of
my
Tim.
pitcher right there.
Henny Fridays, baby.
I was on his baseball team. He's a leader of men. He could throw. I remember 8th grade, he was throwing 90-mile-per-hour gas against, I don't know who we were playing, probably Victory. Tim Hennessy's my pitcher. That's my guy. Sorry, Reed, I interrupted.
All right, Elliot spoke so highly about him, so I'm going to have to redo the chat power.
No!
Tim, congrats on a great week. Congrats on your first time, I believe, in the chat power rankings. You earned it, number 4. Number 3, it is, without a doubt, the person that comments on my attire more than even my wife, and that is Paul Brown's ghost. Paul Brown had a great week. We know what happened in that shower earlier this week, so congrats on that. Also in the chat, been fantastic, as always. I appreciate the ribbing that you give me. I think just had a great week all the way around, PB. Not much else to say. Coming in at number 2, a new to the chat power rankings, it is White Sammy Sosa. Mostly because he was buttering me up in this chat. Also, his name has something to do with Sammy Sosa, who's my favorite baseball player of all time. And thirdly, I just wanted to show this immaculate picture of the Slammin' Sammy himself. What is he wearing? He's in a full cowboy garb.
That's what we call the reverse Michael Jackson, Reed. Oh, I guess it's the same way.
It's the same way.
Not reverse. It's the same way.
For what it's worth, Sammy Sosa was never black. He is Hispanic, but
Visually.
Number 1, Reed.
White Sammy Sosa also, he's also a real estate mogul in Dubai now. So shout out to Slammin' Sammy. Before we get to number 1, we got some special consideration. The player formerly known as Mouse Cop, I'm specially considering you for banning you from the chat. So I'm just kidding, Mouse Cop. Where would this chat be without you? You're not going to be in my top 5. You never will. But this is me just showing a wee bit of love. Also special consideration, Elliot Rearing. Hopefully this picture comes out. It didn't come out well at all. My friend asked me, he sent this picture, and he said, just point blank, what are we doing here? And I'm glad that the hip is healing. I really do hope you feel better, Elliot. I know we have some fun on this show. I like you, just a wee bit.
Reed, no shtick, I love you.
Yeah.
Hard L. I love you.
Yep. Sounds like no shtick. And we've been tiptoeing around this one for quite a while. I'm surprised he's never been number 1, but it is without a doubt the biggest sports fan in the chat. It is Ronnie Smith.
Let's go.
Big time.
Go, Ronnie.
Big time.
Ronnie. Come on, Ronnie.
It is funny that
Keeps us on track.
That some people in the chat, some people in this room have been pushing for Ronnie Smith to be number 1, but when it's their time to pick the chat power rankings, decide to put Mouse Cop in front of Ronnie Smith. I don't know if it's a shtick. I don't know what it is. I don't know how you can constantly campaign for someone to be number 1, but Ronnie Smith, you deserve to be number 1 this week. Congratulations. No one is more deserving than Ronnie Smith. He should win it every week, unless Leif Erickson comes back.
Back-to-back number 1s to off the list entirely for Mouse Cop. That's brutal.
Like tough. I said, he will never crack the top 5 as long as I'm in this, as long as I'm making the chat power rankings. But it's all love for Sebastian.
Government name.
Government name again.
Ronnie. Congratulations, Ronnie. Sir Boy Wonder. No love for Sir Boy Wonder?
So this is for what it's worth. I meant to put Sir Boy in honorable mention, and it escapes. You know, you're constantly, when you're putting these lists together, you're trying to give everyone who is well-deserving. Sir Boy, you're an honorable mention. I just forgot to put it up.
Sir Boy's always in my top 5, but to be fair, Sir Boy was very busy this week. He wasn't in the chat a ton this week, So this is
He had a lot to do this week.
He's a lot to
working a lot.
do. He carries my paycheck on his back. So thank you, Sir Boy.
He's promoting Chatterbox merch on Twitter like it's his job too. So we love Sir Boy.
You know, we joke a lot here about the chat. And just to get serious for a second, and Trace has said this a lot on Chatterbox Reds, but I don't know how much we've said it here on this show, that there was a point back in middle of November where we had 30 to 40 people watching consistently, and if we shut our laptops at the end of a show and there were 50 concurrent viewers at one point in the show, we felt like we crushed it that day. And now on a bad day, we have 100 people in here, and we have 50 people alone in the chat, because I know a lot of you will watch this on smart TVs or watch it in ways that you can't chat in. So we have 50 people active in the chat. And I remember there were points back in late October, early November, where we would always say after the show, we just need 30 or 40 Sir Boys. That was our measuring stick.
Sir Boy wonders where before Nutcutter Nation, we said we need, like you said, we need more Sir Boys.
We need more Sir Boys. And lo and behold, as time has gone on, as I have said it now multiple times this week, this is the 7th month in a row that Off the Bench has seen consistent growth, and not just like flat line, maybe 2% growth. I'm talking a straight 45-degree angle up on the podcast charts and downloads and everything else. I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you. Now that we're halfway through the calendar year, it's June 30th. We're turning the calendar to the 4th of July. Training camp's coming up soon. But you know, to Sir Boy Wonder, to everybody here in the chat, we can't thank you enough. And we also can't thank you enough to everybody that has already bought the merch. 4 shirts, buying 4 shirts from the Chatterbox store gets you 4 shirts, a riverboat ticket, unlimited food, and 2 beers to the July 17th Reds game. That is an incredible deal. That is an incredible deal. You can do that online. You can buy 4 shirts, buy $100 worth of merch, which is 4 shirts, because that's all we have in the store right now is $25 shirts. So buy 4 shirts, you go in there, and you can get yourself a ticket to the Reds game. You have to add the Reds game, the ticket to the cart, and then use the code to get the discount. I saw some people last night trying to figure that out.
Elite merch designs.
Elite
Yes.
merch designs. I personally love the Harambe, and I'll do this right now. I'll get a picture of it this weekend or maybe next week. Anybody who sends me a receipt, DMs me, and maybe we could do DMs Chatterbox Sports. All the people who buy merch, just one piece of merch, I will personally auction off a Sean Casey signed baseball. So anybody who buys merch, send the receipt. We'll spin your name on a wheel. Winner, Trace will do it. Whoever wins it gets a Sean Casey signed baseball as well.
That's generous of you, Elliot.
Yeah, well,
Big
no,
time from the Z.
it's generous of the fans of Chatterbox. So again, we'll maybe DM Chatterbox with a receipt of what you have bought. You will be entered into a contest. We spin a wheel. Winner gets a Sean Casey autographed baseball. I will have a picture sometime this weekend.
The mayor.
All right. Thank you to each and every single one of you for watching Off the Bench. Half the year is done. We have half the year left to go, and the back half of the year is the busiest, most exciting part of the year, because you have football, you have baseball, you have potentially a division championship race coming down the line. There is a lot to talk about over the next 6 months here in 2023. Hopefully it brings a division championship to the city of Cincinnati, and hopefully it means a pretty good regular season for the Bengals too. But half the year is done, half the year is left to go, and we also have to decide where we want to go to lunch today for the last time before we take a 4th of July holiday.
Let's put the Grimace shake on the
Where
wheel.
are we going?
Yes,
Let's put
Grimace.
the Grimace shake on
McDonald's has to be on
McDonald's.
this week.
I would very much prefer to go to McDonald's because I have to eat a very big dinner at about 4:15 to
Okay.
carry me over through the Taylor Swift concert. So a double cheeseburger kind of gets me there.
Okay,
So
getting there.
it does get in there.
Okay.
I'd like to switch between either
What are you
Subway and
what do you
McDonald's.
what are you thinking about?
What am I thinking about?
Yeah.
We got to dump this segment.
Okay. All right. We'll dump it.
Okay.
I was just wondering. I was just wondering. I didn't say anything. I
You were just asking the
was
question.
asking a question.
Okay.
It's a joke, clearly, but I wasn't asking. I didn't say a word.
Thank you, Roger. You told me to have fun tonight.
Reed doesn't like me now. Reed's giving me a death stare. Reed's still staring at me.
Taco Bell gone. No lunch is on the list? Whoa. What do we got? No lunch. Stop. Oh, no. Oh, no.
I went McDonald's.
Oh, no.
Did Sonic make the list?
No.
No.
Casey.
We went there twice in 1 month. I think we're good. Oh, I definitely forgot to take McDonald's off.
Whoa, double gone.
Now it's doubly gone.
Chick-fil-A didn't make the list either.
Oh,
That's big time.
man.
That's a big winner.
Thank God.
I really wanted a Whopper.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
Nobody's ever wanted that.
I do. I would love. I would
You're
love a
staring
Whopper.
at me again.
You're talking.
You're staring at me.
See it, Canes.
Like, do you want me to not look at you when you're talking?
Yes.
Or you want me to do what you do and never look at someone when you're talking?
Oh, that's
That
low.
was so mean.
That's low.
That's what they teach
Below
you in
the
public
bell.
speaking class, Reed. That's what they teach you.
See ya, Wendy's. Oh man, no lunch. I can't go to Firehouse. That's too big. I have no lunch up here right now. I'm not going to lunch because I'm not going to Panda. I can't do Firehouse. I
we
guess
just go
I'm
to-
driving alone to
Let's just go to
McDonald's.
Sonic and call it a day, yeah?
Don't tease Mousecop.
Making my way downtown.
Walking fast, faces passing them homebound. Panda. All right, everybody. Thank you very much for watching Off the Bench this week. It's been a lot of fun sitting up here at the desk, but don't worry. Tom will be back next week. Thank you to everybody for watching the show. Thank you for having me up here. I thought we had some great discussion through the week. And Reds start their series tonight with the Padres and then go to Washington next week. A lot to catch up on Wednesday when we see you again. This has been Off the Bench. We'll see you Wednesday. Have a great 4th of July. Enjoy your time with family and friends. And we'll see you next time right here from Chatterbox.